There it goes. All right, thank you for being patient. Hello. Welcome to Bell Atlantic. All right, so we're here. Excuse me. And we have an interesting show tonight. Why say goodbye when you can say Velveeta-Zane? My daughter doesn't like a lot of chocolate chips in her cookies. It was a premix, and she just handed me a bowl of chocolate chips. Says here. All right. I wouldn't even eat them if I wasn't on the elliptical every single day. I kind of get to not be perfect on regimen diet. All right, so real quick, testosterone levels, luteinizing. Shut up. All right, here we go. I gotta tell you, I gotta say it. It's got to be said. This channel, YouTube, at Wisdom Fitness AZ. Spread the word. Send it around. All right. All right. This video here, if you aren't familiar with it, it's very, very. I think it's entertaining enough to keep your attention, but it's also informative. And being that I've been doing this thing lately where every single day that I'm on the elliptical, I try to take in another video from the Medical Insights, or also known as Medical Myth Busting section of Dr. Glidden's site. I'm supposed to do some time stamping for him too. I elected to do it, and he said, yeah, please. So most of the time, it was an afterthought after I'd seen a few videos. So the ones I did catch a couple things, I'm going to have to go back to and find out the exact timestamps. But while I'm doing this, I'm watching all of the videos, and I'm learning a shit ton. And it's really, really eye-opening, because the way the MDs have trained people into thinking that you just need to abuse your body because they don't know how to actually, or they don't know how to, but the demons behind the allopathic, genocidal eugenics program, they're, I'm sure, fully aware what type of damage that behavior and treatment of the body does. And it's, being that it's a genocidal eugenics program and all, called healthcare. But when you apply that to what people in the fitness arena do on a daily with their performance-enhancing drugs, pinning themselves with all kinds of synthetic hormones, and it's really, really unnecessary. Super physiological. Yeah, okay, but you know what's funny? You didn't even know what your actual potential, biological potential was, because you didn't have the proper nutrients. So your body isn't going to always prioritize building muscle when there's other problems that are going on. There's millions upon millions of functions being carried out without your conscious knowledge because of, well, the pleomorphic microzyma doing what they do. And that's why, if you're not fully nutrified, and then you're like, oh, I hit my genetic limit. First of all that entire thought was given to you by idiots. The idea of genetics and then limits. And even if you say, well, I was born with this and it's like my family, well, what have they not been eating? What have they not been taking in their whole life? What lack of nutrients did your grandparents, your grandmother have deficiencies in when they were producing your parents? Is the narrow shoulders, the smaller frame, the whatever, is that really a result of genetics, or is it a long history of similar eating practices in a similar area with similar soils, or wherever the hell you're getting your food sourced from, causing that issue? And if you developed without the proper amount of nutrients, because now you have a person who's sharing them with a newborn, I mean with a growing life inside of them, you're going to start off not in a great spot, and then you're going to further continue the downward spiral. It's very, very. I'm going to have to clip out a lot of Dr. Glidden's stuff for my part 2 on the Frula Max thing, because what I encountered and what I've discussed in the first part, I learned more about the functions like the endocrine system and the adrenal system and all that stuff. And there's really interesting. It just blows your mind when you realize just how abusive everyday medical health practices to your vital force, your body, and how it's constantly being pushed around, kicked around, and knocked around in an effort to deliver health, right? It's not. It's a bully beating up a body, and it's your own body. And thinking that you know better than it because it's not giving you what you want. It's like, dumbass, you don't have the proper amount of nutrients in you. So you're asking for something that it doesn't. It's like build a house, but you don't have any fucking wood. Okay, well, how am I going to do that? Well, just give you more testosterone and hyperdrive you. Okay, but what's the rubber band effect of that? Oh, well, then it'll just take more estrogen blockers and blah 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 blah. The chemical signals without the raw materials are why people die at 50 and younger as bodybuilders. They're depleting themselves so dramatically that all these other things happen. Dr. Glidden was talking in one of these videos where people who did have right ventricular, I think it was left or right ventricular hypertrophy, the thickening of the heart wall, right? And they're like, oh, that's from the GHB and or not GHB, the HGH and the other steroids causing the thickening, because that's a muscle and that's also being built when you're bodybuilding. It's such a horrible thing to do to yourself. Anyway, it's the nutrient deficiency that causes that. Because again, anything that you put in your body and you're demanding it to do something, it needs it still has to go back to, you got enough screws, you got enough wood, you got enough planks. How are we going to do this? Oh, I feel like a Superman because I have a lot of testosterone injected in me. Really? Like, oh, I'm not getting it. And then there's people, they say, oh, even people on steroids sometimes have shit results. Well, maybe it's because they don't have nutrients. And maybe you don't have that many either. The Frula Max rabbit hole that I went down, simply because I was just curious what the literature was on it. Oh man, I stepped into an eye-opening situation where all the other practices that these people do on a daily basis, without a single second thought about it, are so detrimental. It's the bodybuilding and a lot of just the straight up fitness stuff that talks about supplements, PEDs, and all this other shit. They never talk about the vital nutrients. They never talk about the minerals, and they are the least healthy people. They might look great, aesthetic wise, but inside there, it's not a pretty picture. And the results of which you'll see a lot of them in the hospital, a lot of them breaking down, and they still don't see anything. Oh, I tore a pec, I tore a ligament, this and that. It's because my muscles were growing faster than the strength of my ligaments and tendons could keep up. Yeah, but it's you didn't have the nutrients you needed to hyperdrive everything, and again, your body's going to prioritize keeping you alive for all the other millions of functions that it's doing. It needs those raw materials for that. So when you're forcing it to take from those other functions that you don't have to consciously think about, because you're demanding through chemical signaling, demanding it to reprioritize and do what you want and suck up all the nutrients and material for that particular thing, it's got to come from somewhere. So it's coming from other areas of your body, of all of those other functions that are intended to keep you alive. It's anyhow, it's a very dangerous game they play. And the part 2 of this is going to be, it's going to be very, it's going to take me a little while to piece it together, but it's going to be very well, it's going to be informative, I should just say. And you guys should be over there subscribing to the goddamn channel and at least watching this video. The Ferula Max honest analysis and consumer safety warning must watch. Even if you don't get into this stuff, seeing the process of how commonplace and how idiotic everything about the health system is, and what people who try to extrapolate from the bullshit that they've been fed and they believe in, because that's the science. The science, they've gone off on a wild tangent with a lot of things. Oh, this is old and it's a botanical, so therefore it must be good. Not if it's providing a phytoestrogen that sticks to your estrogen receptors like glue, and your body thinks, even though it's not actually producing the same type of Bolshevsky in your body, so it's not. It thinks it, even though that's not happening, it thinks that a massive surge of feminization is occurring inside of you. So that's why it dumps all your testosterone. But once it does that, your cholesterol tanks, because what's used to make and produce testosterone and all other hormones. Right. So what does it do? It burns out your freaking adrenals and your endocrine system, and then your brain just stops producing LH and FSH, and it permanently is switched off. So that boost that you get in the beginning of taking this stuff, you're going to be feeling miserable, have zero energy. Low energy is directly related to obviously having your nutrients, but what those nutrients do is they nourish especially your endocrine system, and of which your adrenals are a major part of. You got to be very, 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 very careful. Something that influences or inspires or provides nutrients that are required to make your body, or make the stuff in your body that your body is supposed to have, is a whole different thing than, triggering a response with a pseudochemical or injecting stuff, a synthetic, hormone, because you're still not giving it everything else that it needs in order to continue the thought. It's you just dropped a pile of letters, but didn't tell them how to arrange it into a sentence or a book or a phrase or whatever. It's anyway. And for the last time, you don't know how well you will respond and how well your health will feel, how much better your energy will be, how much better all the other functions of your body will behave to an overall sense of wellness. And if you are into fitness, you're going to see better results, even if you don't think you can go any further or you're getting discouraged. If you're not taking your nutrients, how can you say I'm at my limit? You've never been able to see what your full potential is because you haven't had what your body needs. So start there. And I'm living proof of this at 46 years old. I'm not taking anything else besides the nutrients, the minerals, the whole food multivitamin, And I started taking a glutathione because it's a major antioxidant. I think glutathione would even be in the Beyond Osteo effects. I'd have to look at the bottle. It's like magnesium, calcium. There might be glutathione in it. Anybody know? Let me take a look. Let's have a look. See, there probably is. Let's see. There's Dr. Glidden's membership site right here. You can use code Ballbusters or Fitwit to hop on there. Yeah. All right. So boom, leave Big Farm behind, and let's go to the one where I think I just have to go like this, and then go to the 90 Essentials, and then scroll beyond event. There it is. Boom. All right, and we'll get a close up to the bottle, and I'll be able to see. I think glutathione's listed. Let's see. Fuck. It's all blurry on my screen. I get like degradation. It's a 4K screen, but I don't know why it's like, sometimes it looks really great, sometimes it looks like shit. I can't tell from that. Oh, let's see, hold on. Glucosamine is what's in it, not glutathione. So it's calcium, magnesium, glucosamine. So no. But it's, alright, that's cool. I'm sure it's probably in the tangy, but I have the glutathione anyway. And then rest of that, I'm actually doing the Azure products with the core copper. Oh, by the way, I learned more important shit about the copper today as well. And yeah, I'm eager and can't wait to share with you all the things that I'm learning from this website of Dr. Glidden's. And I got permission from him to use small portions of it in the video to expand on the thoughts that he's presenting, because I'm applying them to a specific example. And that from that example, one should be able to extrapolate how this applies to all other situations. And I hope that'll like expand your knowledge and see how things work and what the mechanism is behind it. That way you'll know when a bad idea comes your way so that you can avoid it. But the adrenals webinar is very important. What was I also looking at today? I saw that one. I was watching the cholesterol one too. Another very good one. I rewatched it because I've seen it before, but I just like to refresh my memory. And there's a lot on here. I'm glad my stepfather stopped taking his. I found out yesterday. Thank God. We had a nice, really long talk. My mom and my stepfather yesterday. Like, was it Sunday? Maybe it was 2 days ago. I don't remember. But anyway, we had a really nice long talk. And it probably was. It probably was on Sunday. And I found out that he had stopped doing his stat. I don't know what other prescriptions he's on, but he did stop taking his statin drug 6 months ago. And I was very happy to hear that. Now, if I can get them to understand that you don't use vitamins and minerals as if they're a remedy for a sickness, because like my mom would only take the stuff when I was there to tell her to take it, and she would only take it when she was feeling sick, and then she said that nothing happened. Like this, you go without this stuff forever and ever, and then you get ill, and then you tell me that it's not working because you think it's like like cough syrup? Like, I don't understand like what you're thinking is going to happen in a day. But it's like, people don't understand. So if I can get them to, on the regular, at least get their minerals. I mean, the vitamins are super important as well. They're super, super important. The whole thing is, but the minerals are where a lot of people have their deficiencies, because those are simply harder to get and not easy to find a lot of in the food that we eat, or any. Liver health is going to be probably my next one that I watch. Yeah. All these things are affected, and I'm applying this to the idea of, what the hell is the fitness industry doing and how we can fix it. How can we fix it? Because it's the most influential shit out there right now. Everybody wants to look good, and they're taking shitty advice from shitty people and good people who are just misinformed because this medical system lies to us. Lies to us. Whether they know they're lying or not is irrelevant to the fact that it is harmful. It's not a feelings contest. It's not a female-minded thought process where as long as you can blame somebody else for something, like, well, what do you do all the time? It's like, does that change how you're behaving? That was a tangent, but I had to let it out. It's a whole projection or deflection back. Oh, I'm yelling. What about you? It's like, okay, do you want to get into this? When you kick a dog multiple times, kick, and the dog doesn't do anything back, and then one day it's had enough kicking and manipulation, and it barks at you, you yell at the fucking dog. There we go. So I said, Verpiss Dich. And if you're out there and you speak German, you might know what that means. Verpiss Dich is how it's actually pronounced. And then, Auf Wiedersehen. Phonetically, it sounds or rhymes with Velveeta-Zane. To the lies of Rothschild and the international cult of child harmers. Auf Wiedersehen to the spell of allopathy, its base in applied eugenics and virus fraud. Auf Wiedersehen to the deadly compulsory practice of injections, vaccines, filled with poisonous alchemical metals that cause massive neurological damage and birth defects. The shots are literal sorcery, a witch's cauldron of potion designed to curse your health and your future offspring. And then I left the last part on there from the last one, where it's, for over 150 years, we have been set backward, made stagnant, and fed a bunch of BS about how advanced we are. The reality is we have had vital knowledge and innovations erased, destroyed, discredited, and viciously assaulted by way of malicious laws. They've convinced everybody that nothing to see here, and you should support the system that is killing you and imprisoning you with some sort of Stockholm syndrome bullshit, where I think people just reflexively think that if you side with your abuser, somehow you're invisible to them, or they won't harm you too, but they've been harming you. So then they attack the people that are trying to help them. The people that are trying to liberate them, the masses attack those people instead of the people that are imprisoning them. We've seen patents disappear under the BS of national security. That means you are a prisoner and prey of the occupying overlords of the your. What the fuck? Was I trying to write two sentences at the same time? Didn't notice that? Occupying overlords, and they don't want to be able to liberate. They don't want you to be. They don't want you to be able to liberate yourself or become independent of their abusive rule. They are simply holding us in preparation for extermination in an open air prison. We're the free range chickens about to get fried. In the meantime, they have extorted us, exploited us, constantly poisoned us, oy vey, and convinced us to go to war and murder those who would have otherwise been our natural allies against their demonic rule. All right. Now let's go recognize the brilliance in others. What do we got for talkies? Anybody talking over here yet? Karen looks like she had Karen has left the building. Hold on a second. I'm going to shove some chocolate in my face. There's still powder on it, though. Do me a favor, though. Go over to that fitness channel, Fitwit, and subscribe. Watch that video and share the damn thing everywhere. Share it with freaking news stations, for Christ's sake. This thing is super important because this product is about to be launched. And I've reached out to Greg Doucette and HCLT Subnets, and I have done my best to try to make this video seen by people. And I only can go as far as YouTube will let me do, unless other people take it and move it forward for me, right? There's only so many places I can go where I'm not seen to say, hey, check this out, to a fucking empty room, because they put me in a box. So if the people who need to hear this don't get to hear it, there's a good chance they're going to chemically castrate themselves and their testicles are going to die, and they're quite literally going to get cancer of the testicles and ovaries if they're female. So let's not let that happen to people. Or fuck them. I don't know. What do you think? I don't think it's fair to say fuck them. Unless they are all the stupid people. And how funny is it that this, think about the position that a medical system has. Oh, Saxon Ranger, what's up? I know it's off topic for the most part right now, but I was just watching it when your stream popped up. Thought you'd like it. Oh, you know what? They didn't transfer the link. Let me see if I see it on my actual YouTube channel, because it didn't pop up on here. If you sent a link, Saxon Ranger, they probably didn't let you post it. Even if you can see it, I can't. YouTube does that. It's like only if you're the admin, or like the presenter, can you drop links usually, or one of the moderators. You want to be a moderator? Let's do that. Here, hold on. Let's go to YouTube. I gotta switch the account. All 7 subscribers over at Bro Shows with billions of freaking videos. Because it's just the way it is, right? It's just the way it is. Look at this shit. We have so many freaking videos on this channel. Not those, the live ones. Beautiful freaking thumbnails. All the bullshit that they tell you. When they say we get no views and then one day it pops, no. But I don't know how that happened. What is that? Oh, they cut it 3 minutes off. They must have jerked around with it. Or there was a false start that night and I had to restart it. That's probably what it was. But they don't actually literally mean no views. They mean like hundreds instead of thousands, thousands instead of hundreds of thousands. When people who are like the big top influencers, there's a guy called Yikes. He's a youngster who has like, I don't know, 2 million followers. There's another one. There's all kinds. Some people have 10, 15 million. These people don't know and never had to face anything suppressing them the way this is happening. Like, no is literally no views. That's what no views looks like. 4 views is the same. All of these things, you look at, none of these are eye appealing, really? Or is it because no one fucking sees it? Jeez, I wonder which one it is. The one with the ass on it got 20 views. No views on the one with the secret teachings with Ryan Gable. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? 5, 1, 3, 1, 2, 2. This is why I don't care about this. I don't care about YouTube. For this particular. How far back does this go? Like, look at all that. And then when I was doing the videos of the gaming, because that's what I started this channel off for, it's connected to an account that they've probably already blacklisted. So therefore, they weren't going to show it to anybody. That was the game that we were playing. Because they've already decided that nothing that I do, because of warning people about vaccines in 2018 prior to COVID, 2019 prior to COVID, 2020 even prior to when it finally kicked off. See, if you look at this, I don't know if you can see this other window that pops up. Hold on. Let's go to a Switch account. If you can see that, where is it? There's one that says Ballbuster channel removed. That's the second time it's happened. and anything associated to these accounts, it's killed. So if it's the Daniel.Durb@gmail account or anything closely related, or it's something that they've paired together because they've decided through their metadata and, you know, they can trace you and see that it's the same person, same IP, it's all stopped. You can't, you can't pretend like it's going to be like that for other people, because they've already tagged you as you don't get out of the sandbox. Nobody gets to see you. Period. The end. All right, hold on. How did I do it? I'm trying, Saxon. Add as moderator. Can manage blocked words. I don't care about blocked words. And change chat modes in live. And also has capabilities of standard moderators. Standard moderator can review and remove chat messages and hide or put users in timeout. Well, let's just do that. Standard. And then just do a refresh on that, Saxon. Messages and hide or put. I don't see anything different from the icons here, but you should be a full-fledged member of the, what was it? Not 2 Live crew. What they call that? What was that? What was the Beavis and Butthead when they met Run DMC? Full-fledged member of the Hollis crew or something like that. So I know sorry. It's an interview with Kevin McDonald about his book Culture of Critique. It's in a playlist titled Kevin McDonald on Cultural Marxism on a channel called J&J Archive. Yeah, I know. Right. And people don't get that. That's why I'm glad I use that moment to share that. So it doesn't matter. Yeah, there's your shield. I see your shield now. That's cool. You're officially the moderator of no one else, because no one else watches this from this YouTube channel. It's all right. I'll make you a mod over at Fitwit if you go subscribe over there. To which I will just switch around real quick, and then we'll get into the book. Because once I get into the book, I'll be reading a lot. So, Fitwit, 25 subscribers. I want that to be 8,008 subscribers. Why? Because do the math. On a calculator, that spells boob. And far be it for me to be so presumptuous to think that I would have 80,085 followers or subscribers, because that spells boobs on a calculator. Now, if we can get the boobs, that would be great. But if we can get the boob, that's just, I'm happy with that. 8,008 followers. We need to get the boob. Let's get the boob together. All right. Right now we're only at 25, so we got a little bit to go. And I said down here, tired of infinite and expensive dead-end paths online coaches send you down, and other fucked up things that your doctor sends you down? Like every single time you're in their presence, they just look at your insurance and say, what kind of torture can we put this person through, because the insurance will pay for it? How much radiation can one man handle in one visit? 500 times an X-ray? Cool. Let's do a CT scan. Why? I came in here came in for a checkup. Yeah, we got to give you a CT scan for that. 3 times. Because it says here we can do that and they'll pay for it. So sit down. Have a seat. Put on the leather. Put on the lead shield. Oh, wait, that's for me. Don't be a nitwit. Be a fitwit. Find all the real health, fitness, and nutrition information you are not getting from the major influencers on social media. We debunk the BS, the online coaching schemes, and the fad supplements that do nothing besides bankrupt you. The answers are simple. Hidden in a cloud of deceptive marketing confusion. Learn the essentials and be a fitwit. And there's 2 links there, because I didn't realize I could just put them down here. And then it stopped letting me put it. Then it's like, oh yeah, you can put any links you want. And it stopped letting me do it after the Twitter and the essential nutrients one. So like, what about the Dr. Glidden one? What about the Rumble link? It just stopped working. I'm like, okay, awesome. Thanks, asshole. 20 videos, 25 subscribers, but I'm going to start parsing or piecing or clipping, I don't know, the words that you use this video here, which is going to take me a long time. I already changed. So I noticed a couple things that I made a slight error in. Not just saying disgusting when I meant discussing, and I don't know how I didn't catch that when I said it aloud. But when I was watching the video, I'm like, I can't even change that. So I just put a little thing underneath it. But there's a couple other things, couple typos here and there, and I made some clarifications. And I re-rendered that one, but I haven't posted it because unlike with certain sites, like there was the ability to do this on Joshua TV back in the day, where you still kept all your stats on a video, but if you wanted to update the video, like if you want to do like it's like a new edition of a book, you know, if you wanted to update it, you could just swap out the file. But you can't do that on YouTube. You'd have to re-upload the whole fucking thing again for little teeny tiny corrections. So if you want the full finished copy, I guess you can go to the Brighteon channel, but don't put the views on this one. So it gets popping. This is literally like a consumer warning about how not to cause a chemical castration, thinking that this stuff is, oh, it's just a botanical, it's just an herbal supplement. What could go wrong? A lot of things. A lot of things can go wrong. Hemlock is an herbal supplement too. How did Socrates fare? Not too good, right? This is testicular hemlock, and it's also going to kill you if you do the thing. And people are going to abuse this. They're not going to. They're not going to go by the instructions on the box, and the instructions on the box are telling you to go for way too long. 1 month, he says you're going to do a month and then you're going to cycle off. No, if you do more than 5 days, you're probably already running the risk. And in 5 days, how much muscle do you think you're going to build? Especially when your body is in a state of devastation, where do you think the nutrients are going to be prioritized? To building bigger muscle that it can't support because it's dying, basically, or it thinks it is? Or do you think those nutrients are going to be put toward the problem of this massive amount of phytoestrogen that's frying your brain and your adrenals and your endocrine system? I can't imagine which way it would go. Or how about the overproduction of the testosterone that your body's using to try to defend itself? The drop in cholesterol because of the creation of all that testosterone, and then there not being enough to keep up with the supply because you're not nourishing the body with the essential nutrients that it needs, or the additional cholesterol that you would have to have eaten in order to create more testosterone in the first place. It can only be, it's, yes, your liver can make it, but it's going to be overtaxing your liver too and damaging that. So what can an herbal supplement do? Quite a lot of damage. So that is my public service announcement. I have sent it to the local news station. I have sent it to Greg. I have sent it to a couple other people online that I don't know if they'll ever see it or not. And I doubt, because I don't have the, exposure yet, that people will even give a shit. And if it's a detractor of Greg's, is the only way I can see anybody. They won't clip it out. They'll just farm the information and then they'll present it like it's theirs, brand new. That's how fucked up and evil people are. If I had a huge presence, they know they wouldn't be able to get away with it. But if they know nobody's seeing the video, they're just going to steal the information and repurpose it for themselves. I guarantee you. I fucking guarantee you. Nobody takes anybody up. Everybody's a gatekeeper. Everybody's jealous of everybody, and everybody, feels threatened by newcomers onto the scene. And that's just how it goes. Oh, cool. Yeah, now you have the link. All right. See if I can pull it from here. There we go. Ah! What was that? Why'd you fucking move on me? Don't move! There we go. Copy. Paste. All right. Kevin McDonald on cultural Marxism. Got it. Thanks. I'll look at it later. All right. So we're about to get into this. Let me see if I can swap out the thing bop here. A display capture. Bing. Oh, wrong one. That. Window capture. All right. So we ended up with the we started to discuss the Béchamp or Pasteur. We got into the microzyma. We started detailing that, and we got to the silkworm disease, another steal, another problem that Béchamp had solved long before the almighty Pasteur arrived on the scene. And it was this one and another one that I was mistaking for the initial incident with the vineyards. So I forgive me because I've read this book a while ago. So and each one of these things has a very similar story where Béchamp just rides in on his chariot, being carried by the slaves or whatever, and his almighty stupidity and his ability to state the obvious like a retard or a child. Everybody falls all over themselves. It was these situations, and it wasn't even just the silkworm. There's another one that occurs too, where a fungus is discovered or some other thing, and Béchamp says creosote, just spray it with creosote. It won't hurt the plants, and it'll save them. And they're like, yeah, okay, thanks, but we're gonna wait to see what Pasteur has to say. And he fumbled and fucked them over and fucked them around with his bumbling retardation for like over a year, and the crop yield was shit. The industry tanked, and all because they didn't listen to Béchamp, who just taught them, told them, showed them, demonstrated how they could have fixed it. It would have been inexpensive, and they would have not have lost anything. But oh well. Right? Oh well. So I hear some peeps out. I'm gonna say probably good night to my daughter. You'll have to watch a video until I get back, but we're gonna get into that when I get back here. Anybody out there who hasn't chimed in and let me know that you're here on the Rumble, please do so now. Thank you. So I know who I'm talking at. I know it's late. I apologize. I went to pick up my daughter, and then she actually wanted to hang out here instead of go with her mom to pick up brother from work. Oh, and by the way, I might be going to New York. So, guys, let's just say for in a strange alternate universe, I was driving cross country from New York, flying out there, driving back, if you know what I mean. Anybody between here and New York and Arizona that's not too far off the beaten path would want to meet up along the way? Sure, maybe I'll be able to. Ohio, I don't know how I could do that, but maybe I could push my way through Ohio and, surprise Dr. Monzo. That'd be cool. Have an actual sit-down interview for once. That'd be pretty sweet. Or a sit-down talk. It's really just because we're friends, But that'd be awesome. And they get the Violet Ray device out. That'd be cool. Maybe swing down to see Dr. Glidden. He'd be like, release the hounds. I'll run away like Bart. That'd be cool though. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna be driving all the way back. So my parents are amazing, and yeah, that'll be kind of fun. I don't know when it's gonna happen because I got to do a bunch of stuff before it's all ready to do it, and then fly out there. But I'm still gonna fix the van regardless because I love that thing, and you don't throw away something that's done good by you. That's why I don't care about throwing away Rebecca, because she's never done good by me ever in the last 12 years. Let's see. Let's find a good video. I had pulled out a bunch. Valhalla VFT. Nah, I mean he's not terrible. I don't know. The Ben Nazuli thing isn't really the type of energy that I think we need right now. Or people bitching and moaning about Andrew Tate. What is this? Tate puzzle.
What would you say?
These are all from my. Oh, I know what we could do.
Innocent men.
Shut up. I was just clipping these to see if they were of any value whatsoever. But oh look, yeah, C-Bum, Chris Bumstead coming back to bodybuilding so he can diet at 35. Good for him. People never learn. I wish the entire health and fitness industry watch this video. I think it would make a difference. And the very next one that I put out, it's definitely going to spell it out as crystal clear as possible, because Dr. Glidden is clinical nutrition, clinical health guy. I take that information and apply it to the dangerously strange practice that, Dr. Glidden doesn't, get too deeply involved in the details of, but I do. And now I can see just how stupid and haphazard and ridiculously self-harming these people are from his information. Like, this is how the body works. Regardless, like he says, you're welcome to your own opinion, but not your own set of facts. You can't just say that the world works a different way for you. Like somebody I know. Like if you just block it out of your head, then yeah, okay. That's it. I think they call that the ostrich, right? You're ostriching. You're sticking your head in the dirt. I just pray for. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So yeah, you guys should be following here. I'm gonna find a video for us. I'm gonna get up, say the goodnights, come back, and just read like a mofo for like 2 hours. King Azule exposed as his humiliating trading footage gets leaked. I don't know. Is that the energy we're looking for here? Does anybody say hello yet? There's definitely nobody over here, because there's whatever it is. 99 followers, but a bitch ain't one. That's too long. All right, I got us. Let's see. Wait, they got too many of these open. I got little Chris waiting there for me. That's all I do. These are all the ones. Oh, it's going to be on the other fucking account, I bet. Oh, yeah, this is what I was referring to. The whole Release the Hounds, Mr. Burns. No, this is going to be on their channel. What's the guy's name? CLR. Yeah, Bruce Rivers. Let's see if there's anything going on with this guy. Guilty of everything. That's fine. Oh, this is the David. This. I mean, it's 47 minutes long, but obviously we're not going to watch the whole thing. But this might be worth watching a little bit. This guy is disgusting. David going to trial, guilty of everything. Yeah, this guy groomed like a girl when she started following him and taking interest in his career. She was like 11 years old. Where the hell are the parents? By 14, maybe younger, she got pregnant and he wanted her to have an abortion or something like that. And did he become her legal guardian? That's even creepier, because that's like you're a parent basically and you're fucking the little girl. And then when she like threatened to go public with their relationship because he was being a jackass. He murdered them. He murdered her, chopped her in little pieces, left her in a freaking. I think this is probably maybe the biggest insult. Left her in a Tesla trunk until she started stinking. Advanced decomposition. This is a little girl that'll never be back. Placed like Dexter into several little bags, like Dexter would put, but those people were bad people. A young girl. I don't know what the fuck the parents are. He might even bought the parents. I don't know. Maybe he bought the parents, bought the kid type of thing, like R. Kelly does, right? This might be worth it. Rivers is all right. I think he's probably an oive. I don't know.
The judge has said, no, this is going to trial. There's enough evidence here to get to trial. And there's enough evidence here to support the special circumstances for the aggravated sentence of life without parole or capital punishment. Defense has got a really big mountain to climb, and I don't think they can do it. I think he's going to get shown guilty on everything.
All right. Oh, that's. I want a car that the hinges go upward like that. Actually, I don't care. I want a van that does that. I want an RV that does that. Then we'll talk. I'm all about functionality. All right, let's see.
Going to be there. But it was not televised. No photography, video, or recordings allowed in any courtroom or the courtroom hallway, lobby, or any time. So you can't even record just outside the courthouse or courtroom.
All right, come on.
So there's all kinds of rules. So now, what do they have to establish? The government's got to establish probable cause, which is the lowest burden that there is in our legal system. Just slightly more true than not true. But there's just a plethora. You like that word, plethora? Or myriad? Or just, how about just a lot?
F.A. What is it, plethora?
There's a lot of evidence. Singer David is eligible for the death penalty after a judge ruled his murder case will go to trial. You have a 5-day hearing. If the writing's on the wall, why do you have a preliminary hearing? Sometimes we waive it, because they have them in federal court too. If you're just charged by complaint, within 30 days, they have to have a preliminary hearing. Well,
let's go.
Guilty. There's a rapid fire, some things that happened here like 5 days ago. Okay. Over 5 days rather. Cameras were not allowed in the courtroom. So we don't have any video of that, which kind of sucks. The courtroom, was shown pictures of Celeste's body. There's nothing worse than horrific autopsy photos, or photos from the scene are probably even worse. The blue plastic in the body was easily seen along with maggots. Poor girl. Celeste's parents were present for this and were sobbing. How awful. So they have a lawyer. The parents have a lawyer. And he says, there was an image of Celeste's torso and her head in the trunk of the car, said Patrick Steinfeld, representing the Celeste family. And the prosecutor had to ask what it was because he could not tell it was a head. It was absolutely deplorable. We as lawyers see a lot of stuff. And especially criminal lawyers, prosecutors and defense lawyers, and first responders. Imagine being the cop to come in and look at that trunk. Ugh. It's been said that David looks fine and calm and has no reactions to any exhibits. Meanwhile, some are sobbing and gasping in the courtroom. Well, of course, you're not prepared for what you're going to see. His team has already probably showed him everything. Maybe. Blair Burke wanted the shackles removed from David. The judge did not allow this, but did allow the handcuffs to be removed. Here's the thing. You don't have the right at a preliminary hearing to not wear prison garb. In other words, when you're in custody and you're wearing, your prison fatigues, you don't have that when there's a jury present. But when it's just the judge, you don't get that luxury. Similarly with, I remember one, in terms of being shackled. So they shackle your hands and they shackle your feet, basically handcuff you to death. And I remember I was trying a case in northern Minnesota and my client told me he was going to take off. And he had already tried to escape the jail one time before. So they put this device on his knee that locked his knee up. So he couldn't straighten out his leg. Isn't that crazy? I mean, and you couldn't see it because it was under his pants. But if he tried to run, he wouldn't be, he couldn't run. Detective Josh Fires, he was called when the vehicle was recovered. He revealed that Celeste's father contacted him because he thought it was his daughter who was found. Celeste was identified with dental records. How awful is that? I mean, honestly. David had an email called followit@gmail.com, and this email was linked to a phone called Tranquilizer. 8 terabytes of data were received. You'd be surprised at how much data is in your phone. This phone was linked to his Tesla. Using the Tesla metadata, they were able to confirm that David was the last one in the Tesla. That's powerful. So the last trip he took was to a store called Ross. I think it's just kind of a general, store, like Target, I guess. The car was parked 4 minutes away from his home. This iPhone named Tranquilizer was never located. Oh, imagine that. When you hide a device, there's a reason you hide it. If you get rid of it, there's a reason you get rid of it. But here's the problem with that. So what? I mean, everything's on the fucking cloud anyway, right? I mean, you don't have a phone that's got 8 terabytes of memory in it, but you can get access to the cloud. So witness Benjamin Gregor took the stand. He was David's financial advisor. Benjamin and David's mother were trying to get $2 million bail. His IRA was drained, as well as all of his accounts, and put into David's mother's name. Oh, well, that's interesting. People do that in anticipation of a lawsuit sometimes. But guess what? You can claw that shit back. You can claw that money back. When they you see, it went over here, went over here, went over here. Okay, we're going to take our little claw back and we're going to bring it back over here, over here, over here. So now it's back here. Now, okay, see what happens. So just because they transferred over to a trust in his mother's name doesn't mean it's going to stay there. Blair Burke doesn't want it to stay there. You know where she wants to go. His IRA was drained. I don't think he's going to have to worry about an IRA. That's an individual retirement account. And put in a trust in David's mother's name. This way, the Celeste family wouldn't be able to sue in a civil suit and take all of David's money. It was revealed that he made about $11 million from his career so far. It was also revealed that once the Tesla was discovered, communication with Benjamin and David's management moved to the app called Signal. So once they discovered what do you make of that? That in and of itself tells you that they're trying to hide some shit. But just because they moved this asset from here to here, the family will be able to get that back. Day one of the preliminary hearing also brought to light that David Anthony Burke's mother was seeking new music representation for the singer. I suppose, why not? What else are you going to do? I mean, mommy's probably been, relying on David for money, and I think which is a little unseemly. So apparently the threat of a lifetime in jail or a potential death penalty is not stopping him, Steinfeld said. He's pursuing his musical career like nothing happened. Steinfeld, who was hired by the family for a possibly future wrongful death suit, is also highlighted his disbelief that Burke was already possibly planning for a future suits by transferring his assets, which was also alleged by prosecutors in the courtroom. If I were a lawyer representing the family, the first thing I would do is file a motion to freeze all that shit. I grossly underestimated David Anthony Burke's network, he said. He has millions and millions of dollars, and so it's something that we're going to look at. You should have already looked at it. So this is through SF Investigates, Stephen Fisher. I think we've quoted him before. In what I believe was a key testimony from yesterday's transcript of the David preliminary hearing, financial advisor Benjamin Gregor changed his grand jury testimony, acknowledged that he asked manager Rob Morgenroth exactly what had happened after the body was found in David's Tesla. Gregor's answer was not entirely clear, and for some reason, Beth Silverman did not attempt to clarify it. However, he testified, he did tell me yes. In other words, did David tell him, or who told him about the body in the Tesla? And shortly after that conversation, Gregor began coordinating with David's mother to raise $2 million for bail. So he's told early on about this body in the Tesla. Based on the testimony and the perceived need for bail money, I believe it's reasonable to infer that Morgan Roth knew Celeste was murdered and that David would be the suspect. Well, why else would you be talking about bail money? The consolidation of assets taking place, could this be seen as a fraudulent transfer? 100%. 100%. If you're doing this, and like I said, there's clawback procedures and you can go back and try to get that money back. Unless they spend it on lawyers or whatever. The bag that Celeste was found in had been badly damaged, so parts of the bag have been discarded, the handles and the zipper. The defense is questioning this and using this to discredit police and the medical examiner, suggesting the body was tampered with. I don't know how, you got to do whatever you can, I guess. The Celeste parents signed off on Celeste going overseas with David. Why the fuck would you do that? Just a baby. Why? It's like, Priscilla Presley was living at Graceland when she was like 15 or 16 years old. Not a fucking day in hell would I ever allow that. I mean, there's just no way. So just to give you a spin on the timeline of things here, she had been leaving the house, going to see David, and he's been providing transportation to her, right? And so they would call the cops occasionally, like I think on at least 2 occasions, and to do welfare checks. And the cops come to see David, and they said, "Well, I thought she was 18." He knew very well she was not 18, and that we'll get into it a little bit, but they were having sex. She had an abortion, and he knew how and they talked about the cops being involved. And here's the long and short of it. A 13, 14-year-old cannot consent to sexual activity, even 15. Mistake as to age does not apply to somebody who's 14. It's called strict liability. You can't do that. If they're 15, I thought she was 17. You can say that. Not if they're 14. There's no defense like that. So Sheldon Jack had been hired to be a live-in security guard for David, who had also been driving David and Celeste around. And photos of the car with a lot of air fresheners and hand sanitizers clearly show that he was trying to cover up the smell of the car and driving around while she was decomposing in the trunk. Think about that. He's driving around knowing she's in the trunk. The criminalist Lauren Wallace found the inflatable pool that David had supposedly used when cutting up Celeste.
Good God. They
believe that he tried to wash it in the washing machine, but it was crumpled up. And when it was smoothed out, there was blood in the creases and so they also found a garbage bag filled with Clorox type wipes that were all stained with blood. What the fuck are you going to do with that? Clearly, he's trying to cover this up. That goes to criminal intent. That goes to his state of mind. The LAPD detective William Roker took the stand, and he's been looking at technology. So, and just so you know, this picture that we're showing here, it's like a double garage. One side's got a workout place, and the other side is for cars, obviously.
The other side is the Dexter kill room.
And under those mats, they found a shit ton of blood. I cannot even fathom taking a life or even hurting someone. You know what I mean? If I'm going to put my hand on you, I'm going to probably stroke your hair. If I'm going to put my hand on you, I'm going to shake your hand. If I'm going to put my hand on you, I'm going to catch you because you're falling. Putting your hands on somebody in a negative way should never happen, ever, unless you're defending yourself. But the other guy shouldn't be doing that, right? So LAPD Detective William Roker took the stand, and he's been looking at technology with the phone and the Tesla, tracking it 3 trips to Santa Barbara that David took when he dumped evidence. David's team was looking for a slip-up, trying to say that the phone and the car weren't together. David's team also didn't seem to have a great understanding of how cell towers work, asking dumb questions like, can you tell with the data if David was holding the phone or not? I don't think that's a dumb question, to be honest with you. I mean, just because you have cell phone information doesn't necessarily mean that the person who that phone is subscribed to has the phone, does it? Well, 1 and 1 is usually fucking 2. But it's not I don't think it's a dumb question. Bloodstains in the following locations were taken and matched to Celeste. 2 bloodstain swabs, black gym mat, that's the mats we just showed you, rowing machine, Tesla charger in the garage, green tarp, trash bag with wipes. Odds of these stains being from Celeste, I think being from someone other than Celeste, are 1 septillion to 1. That's 24 zeros. 1 septillion to 1. That's how sure they are of the DNA. And DNA is getting better and better all the time. The trash bag had 3 other DNA matches. 1 was David's and the other 2 are unknown. Oh, shoot. Do we have another killer? Well, David's driving the fucking car. Probably not. But the defense tried to make hay of that, saying that it was transfer DNA. Now, what is transfer DNA? Well, you know what DNA is, deoxyribonucleic acid. It's the building block for our bodies, right? It's our genes, basically, our genetic code. And DNA can be found in blood, saliva, skin cells, semen, hair, just about anything, right? And that has to do with your body. And you can have DNA that's on an object, and that object could have been someplace else and then transferred over here. If I touch this...
Mitochondria have their own DNA. Independent of your own. And those are the little dudes in your cells that absolutely need copper in order to create ATP energy for your cells. Yo, what's up, Edward? What's up? Good to see you. All right, let's kick this off into the reading portion now. If you want to see more of that, what is it called? I lost it. So it's criminal lawyer reacts to D4VD, which is David, going to trial. And he apparently was a, I don't know, Spotify famous singer, rapper. I don't know what the hell he is. It's black R&B. I don't know. Something like that. Auf Wiedersehen. In case you want to know how to spell that. Translates to goodbye or until we see each other again. So it's like hasta la vista, baby. He should have said Auf Wiedersehen instead. That would have worked. You know, he's like Austrian and shit. Ta-da-da. All right, we're back on here. Let's do it. Maybe clear my throat. All right, let's get going. We left off with the section that is even more damning and condemning of Pasteur than the last one. Silkworm disease, another steal. Between 1855 and 1865, which was the end of our country, as we still believe it to be, but has not been since 1865, the end of the Civil War. Between 1855 and 1865, a widespread epidemic among silkworms called, I want to say it's pebrine, alarmed the south of France. So much so that finally in 1865 it drew national attention without social media. Professor Béchamp early in 1865, took up the study of this epidemic entirely at his own expense and without the aid of others. He quickly found that it was caused by a small parasite. This guy is the man, by the way. His long experience with small microorganisms and the way creosote had inhibited their growth in his beacon experiment of 1854 and 1855 at once suggested the way out. Hence, he was able to state before the Agricultural Society of Heralt the same year that pebrine was a parasitic disease and that thin creosote vapor would prevent the attack of the parasite. However, in the meantime, the government had taken an interest in the subject and in June 1865 sent Pasteur down from the heavens to investigate the disease. Yeah, thanks, government. Thanks to his connections with the emperor. Pasteur, with the prestige of being an official representative of the government, wow, totally Freemasonic, was able to center all attention on his own work to the depreciation, probably the same thing, right? The depreciation of the work of others, though he admitted having never touched a silkworm before he had started on this mission. Nevertheless, the fact that something official was being done caused agricultural societies to await his verdict instead of at once taking up Professor Béchamp's ideas. Jesus Christ. No. We don't want answers or solutions. We want spectacle and performance. We want the WWE version of this. Pasteur's first statement on his new subject was made in September 1865 when he published a very erroneous description claiming the corpuscles are neither animal nor vegetable, but bodies more or less analogous to cancerous cells or those of pulmonary tuberculosis. From the point of view of a medical classification, they should rather be ranged beside globules of pus or globules of blood, or better still, granules of starch, than beside infusoria or molds. It is the chrysalide rather than the worm. That one should try to submit to proper remedies. The chrysalide rather than the worm. Okay. This description shows that he had no conception of the real nature of the problem. Béchamp's comment was, thus, this chemist, who is occupying himself with fermentation, has not begun to decide whether or not he is dealing with a ferment. Pasteur, about this time, dropped his work because of the deaths of his father and two of his daughters, and before going back, spent a week at the Palace of Compiègne as the guest of Napoleon III. Yeah, why not, right? Why not? Did he sacrifice his daughters for the cult? I don't know. In February 1866, he again took up the case of the silkworms and had the assistance, this time, of several able French scientists, yet they made very little progress on the problem. Right. Even bigger idiots. Being led by, well, maybe not, lesser idiots with not as much experience, but with a bigger idiot to lead them. Meanwhile, Béchamp had made further studies on pebrine or pebrine and sent a paper entitled on the harmlessness of the vapors of creosote in the rearing of silkworms to the Academy of Science. In this article, he repeated the statements he had made before the Agricultural Society at Heralt and added that the disease is parasitical. Pebrine attacks the worms at the start from the outside, and the germ of the parasite comes from the air. The disease, in a word, is not primarily constitutional. He described developing the eggs or seeds of the silkworm in an enclosure permeated with a slight odor of creosote. in which he produced eggs entirely free of pea brain. Let's call it pea brain. That'd be funny. And it took so little creosote that his methods were commercially practical. However, Pasteur had not yet declared his magnificence. All right. He had not yet found the true cause of the trouble. He sent a paper entitled New Studies on the Disease of Silkworms to the Academy, in which he said, I am very much inclined to believe that there is no actual disease of silkworms. I cannot better make clear my opinion of silkworm disease than by comparing it to the effects of pulmonary phthisis. There we go. Let's go with that. Very pithy. I don't think that's the same thing, but phthisis. There we go. My observations of this year have fortified me in the opinion that these little organisms are neither animalcules or cryptogamatic plants. It appears to me that it is chiefly the cellular tissue of all the organs that is transformed into corpuscles or produces them. But again, he guessed wrong, and neither he nor all of his assistants could prove statements that were false. He also took a slap at Béchamp's paper by saying, of course he did, one would be tempted to believe, especially from the resemblance of the corpuscles to the spores of Mucorina, that a parasite had invaded the nurseries. That would be an error. And yet Béchamp had already proved beyond question that it was nothing else but a parasite. Possibly jealousy caused Pasteur to take a contrary view. Yeah, forget about the actual problem or solving it, right? These are freaking children at play. Pasteur apparently had not finally given up his spontaneous generation ideas until 1862 or 1864, and I think that's because of alchemy, and since then had ascribed all signs of fermentation and all disease to airborne germs. Yet here he denies that this disease is parasitic, and after Béchamp's paper proved it. But it didn't matter, because the almighty Pasteur had not yet said what it was. He just told you what it wasn't. Béchamp answered him in a paper entitled Researches of the Nature of the Actual Disease of Silkworms, which contained more proofs of its parasitical nature. He said that the vibrant corpuscle is not a pathological production, something analogous to a globule of pus or a cancer cell or to pulmonary tubercules, but is distinctly a cell of a vegetable nature. In another paper, Béchamp described experiments that proved the corpuscle to be an organized ferment that would invert sugar and produce alcohol, acetic acid, etc. This paper seemed to convince Pasteur that Béchamp was right, for in January 1867, this is 3 full years after Béchamp had solved the problem, told them what to do, told them how to fix their problem so that they didn't lose money and silk crop, I guess you could call it. In a letter written by Durney, the Minister of Public Instruction, he began to claim all credit for Béchamp's ideas on the silkworm diseases that he refuted, argued against, while he was dicking around and not saying anything. How does that paper trail not catch up to him? And then Béchamp, his papers that are also published, how did those not prove, that he was the first that he indeed solved the problem 3 years prior, told them what to do, and that any claims that Pasteur makes to have said he solved the problem and then just repeats what Béchamp said, how did that not get seen? How did they not catch that? Béchamp provided a still more complete account of his discovery, which the Academy printed on April 29th, 1867. And the same issue contained a letter from Pasteur to Dumas, dated April 24th, in which he expressed regrets over his mistakes and promised a paper with a complete story of the disease soon. On May 13th, 1867, Béchamp sent a letter to the Academy of Science pointing out Pasteur's errors and asking for recognition of the priority of his own discoveries regarding silkworm diseases. He also sent another paper entitled New Facts to Help the History of the Actual Disease of Silkworms and the Nature of the Vibrant Corpuscles. In this paper, he described the corpuscles as airborne and to be found on mulberry leaves. And he also described a second silkworm disease different from peabrine, which he called flacherie, and on which he had published a pamphlet privately on April 11th, 1867. In the meantime, he had also submitted several papers on various microscopic organisms, more or less broadening the general knowledge on the subject. One of these was a general study of bacterial development from his microzymas. In a paper entitled On the Microzymian Disease of Silkworms, Béchamp gave a full description of the second disease called flacherie. This was published in the paper dated June 8th, 1868. And on June 24th, Pasteur wrote to Dumas claiming to have been the first to discover this second silkworm disease and demanding that a note he claimed to have sent to the Agricultural Society of Elias on June 1st be printed, as the records then contained no proof of Pasteur's claim to this. Béchamp answered this claim in a note entitled On the Microzymian Disease of Silkworms in regard to a recent communication of Monsieur Pasteur, which was published under the date of July 13th, 1867, in which he referred to his pamphlet of April 11th, 1867, revised and reprinted March 28th, 1868, and his papers of May 13th and June 10th, 1867, all of which were prior to any publication of Pasteur's. However, Pasteur used his prestige as a government representative to browbeat others into supporting him. How can they do that when the dates state the facts? This is the fucking foundation of why your children are being vaccinated, injected with 79 different times with poison. It, as the thing develops, because every one of these instances where Pasteur has defrauded people should have put him out of the scientific community completely, but he was a fraternal brother. So, however, Pasteur used his prestige as a government representative to browbeat others into supporting him, and he was finally widely recognized, and Béchamp's claims as to the discoveries on silkworm diseases were ignored. There is a Rothschild hand in this. The majority of those who knew that his claims were false were afraid to oppose anyone who was so close to Napoleon III and who had so much official standing as Pasteur then had. It's Napoleon's fault. It's the Rothschild's fault. It's the demonic device of the international banking cartel of child killers and vampiric sons of bitches. Who were developing at that moment the very thing that would then be used against us, which is a genocidal eugenics program masked as healthcare. In his book on the diseases of silkworms, Pasteur takes all the credit for these discoveries and shows how ignorant of the subject he still is by ridiculing Béchamp's statements that creosote was a preventative. So he knew of them. He knew of the papers because he's criticizing them. Ethel Hume says that members of the Academy actually asked Professor Béchamp to drop his use of the word microzyma and even drop his work. In Microbe Hunters by Paul de Crieff, I'm sorry. In Micro Hunters, Paul Decreef gives a slightly different version of Pasteur's work on silkworms from that outlined above. He states that Dumas, his old professor, appealed to Pasteur to help the silkworm growers of southern France, and continues, anything but a respecter of persons, Pasteur, who loved and respected himself above all men, had always kept a touching reverence for Dumas. He must help his sad old professor. But how? It is doubtful at this time that Pasteur could have told a silkworm from an angleworm. Indeed, he was first given a cocoon to examine. When he was first given a cocoon to examine, he held it up to his ear, shook it, and cried, "Why, there's something inside it!" This is how retarded this person is. Can you imagine this? Well, thank you, Mr. Scientist. You found there was something in the cocoon? You don't say. Thanks, buddy. Glad you're here. Everybody rest easy. There's something in this rattle. It's because it's a child talking. Adult baby. Decreef described the belated discovery that pea brain was a parasitical disease to Gurnez, one of his assistants. Gurnez hurried to Pasteur. "It is solved," he cried. "The little globules are alive. They are parasites. They are what make the silkworm sick." It was 6 months before Pasteur was convinced that Gurnez was right. But when at last he understood, he swooped back to his work and once more called the committee together. "The little corpuscles are not only a sign of the disease, they are its cause." After all the things he said that negated that statement he just made in such a self-assured, finite way, right? He was like very affirmative about it. No, this is all. They're cancer cells. "These globules are alive. They multiply. They force themselves into every part of the moth's body." It is strange that with the dispute raging between Béchamp and Pasteur over who had discovered that pea brain was a parasitical disease, Gurnez did not speak of his own claims in the matter. Perhaps a job was more important. So even Gurnez was more useful than Pasteur. But isn't that how it goes? Isn't that how it goes in like every job too? Was Steve Jobs really the brilliant person, or was he the person that was workhorsing everybody else because he has a concept, a vision in mind, doesn't know how to actually make it come to life, but he's got enough people working on it to solve it and figure it out, and then he takes the credit for it. Or past tense did. And that's how it goes with all these people. Like, oh, look at this guy. This guy Elon, he's brilliant. No, he's not. It's a fucking retard. Yeah, does everybody think that Jeff Bezos just knows how to sell things online better than you? Or do you not see that as being a control arm of your pseudo-government? He was 45. He wallowed in this glory for a moment, and then, having saved the silkworm industry with the help of God and Gurnez, you mean God being Béchamp, right? Right. He raised his eyes toward one of those bright, impossible, but always partly true visions that was his poet's gift to see. He raised his artist's eyes from the sickness of silkworms to the sorrows of mankind. And here's where it gets dangerous for everybody. This is the left turn, probably guided by some. So, all right, this is how sad the person is so convinced of his own bullshit. I don't even understand. Like, I could see you portraying this to the public, to people around you, because you're trying to save face after being a bumbling idiot. But if you honestly believed in your heart that you did something remarkable, when you yourself still don't know how the process works, and simply conceded that your lab assistant was correct after having read about this for 3 years from Béchamp and not accepting it because, by golly, that just ain't the way it is because someone else came up with the answer. It's too complicated for that person to have known the answer, so it can't be true. To then thinking that you did something so brilliant that now you have to crusade and save the world. The hubris, man. The hubris plus the guiding hands of the deep pockets, the moneyed hands of the cult of child killers, the banking cartel, the oives. It is in the power of man to make parasitic maladies disappear from the face of the globe if the doctrine of spontaneous generation is wrong, as I am sure it is. Oh, you're sure it is now? You're sure it is now? His 45th year must have been 1867, and Béchamp had proven spontaneous generation wrong in 1855 or 56. This is what holds back science. Politics. And when I say politics, I don't understand how people think that politics means Democrat and Republican. Like when someone says, and rightly so, like Andrew Tate is a political prisoner, then you have actual lawyers on the internet saying, oh, this isn't a political matter. No, political simply means that you're being held because you're being persecuted by a higher entity that has influence in government and the judicial system. It doesn't mean that it has to do with Democrats and Republicans. That's what political is indicating. But people, I guess, want to keep other people who hear that in the dark and stupid, or they themselves are that stupid, in which case it really makes me feel horrible for mankind when people who are making shit tons of money as lawyers don't know their ass from their elbow. Clearly, de Crieff did not look far enough. The name of Béchamp, the only microbe hunter who really understood their true place in nature, does not appear in his book Microbe Hunters at all. In spite of all his errors in despite of all his errors in the work on silkworms, and because of his high position and royal favoritism, and why is that? Nobody knows. Like, why would anybody want to hang out with this dumbass? Pasteur was put in charge of the practical measures of fighting this parasite, and of course did not adopt Béchamp's method of using creosote vapor. Yeah, no, that would have been too easy, too affordable, too sensible. And how dare he give credit to Béchamp by simply using what was already suggested. Dr. A. Latude, at one time editor of the Journal of Medicine in Paris, charged that whereas in 1850 France had produced 30 million kilograms of cocoons, its output had plummeted 15 million kilograms to 15 million from 30 million. That's half in 1866 to 67 due to the epidemic. After Pasteur's methods of prevention had been introduced, listen, this is how your health is favoring under the genocidal eugenics program built on Pasteur's germ theory. Ready for it? After his methods of prevention had been introduced, production shrank to, shrank? How so, sir? How did it shrink? To 8 million kilograms in 1873 and as low as 2 million kilograms in subsequent years. Well, thank God he solved it. Thank God he solved it. No more silk ties for you. No more silk socks for the weirdos. Or those little, those are nylon. Anyway, that is the way in which Pasteur saved sericulture. The reputation which he still preserves in this respect among ignoramuses and short-sighted savants has been brought into being by himself by means of his inaccurate assertions by the sellers of microscopic seeds based on the pasture system, who have realized big benefits at the expense of the cultivators. Oh boy, you mean there was a financial incentive, there was a monetary incentive here to fuck over one group so you could sell something else? You don't say. You don't say. And basically, silkwormers are just another type of farmer, right? They always attack those people. The Jewish banking cult, the demons, the Saturn moon cult, hate agriculture and farming because it keeps you independent of their control. If you can sustain your life and do it on your own, they can't withhold food and starve you as a way of manipulation. This is what the Oives do. This is what the Bolsheviks did. This is what all throughout history, if they're not poisoning your well or poisoning you directly, they're suppressing food. This is exactly what they were doing before the Gothic Aryans or the Arias arrived in Cappadocia. And they encountered the serpent cult, who was doing the very same thing to the inhabitants of that territory, starving them out, stealing their kids, conducting pharmakia and black magic and human sacrifice, child sacrifice, stealing people's kids to do sacrifices, poisoning people and testing out their potions, and using their snake venom with drugs and screwing people's heads up and watching them dance in agony and terror. This is what they did. And they would steal the people's food, hoard it like assholes, and basically make people their slaves just so they could eat, if they even decided to let them. This is how they operated then, 5,000 years ago. This is how they operate now. And I do find it very interesting, just as a side note. Think about this. If you guys haven't watched the Ferula Max breakdown yet, and I really think you should, and I think you should subscribe over there to the Fitwit channel. How interesting is it that Ferula Harmonis is found in the Golan Heights, in the sour, like the soil of a man's sour is sour, like from Pet Cemetery, in the soured lands that Israel controls, the Golan Heights. That's where they find this Ferula Harmonis, the Levantines, versus the Ferula Judiana, which could potentially be either very close to or the actual Silphium that the Greeks and the Romans praised and prized so much that it was worth its weight in silver, 1-to-1 ratio, and then in gold as time went on because it became more scarce. And they said Emperor Nero got the last root of it. I guess there's documents indicating that, at least to their knowledge, that he got the last root of it. But where was that one found? Anatolia. What did you say? Cappadocia? So the stuff that's actually potentially a good supplement that could be utilized if taken with precautions and raw honey and things like that to suppress some of the effects, and done in a sensible, mapped out manner of small dose and short duration, could potentially be a really good supplement even now. That one is where our ancestors first established civilization. Whereas the what do you call it? The cursed lands of the Golan Heights is where you find the other one, representing the evil, representing that serpent cult in a sense. Isn't that interesting? And that one is the one that's chemically castrating, is going to chemically castrate people. Testicular cell death. If they tell the people to take it with that piperine, the black pepper extract, which is stacked with inside the capsule, once they get that panic surge of testosterone because it's fucking up their estrogen, at least their estrogen. I don't want to call them receptors, but let's just go with it. It's like the signal acceptors, A and B. It's going to saturate them with this ferritin very quickly, especially with the piperine, which is going to force it into the cells, including the testes. And then cell death, apoptosis, programmed cell death, cytosis, that's also cell death, all occurring very quickly, quicker than the 30 days that they're telling people to then cycle off of it. Because it's going to happen within 10 days or less, and you're not going to know how long you can take it before permanent damage occurs to where your testosterone tanks. You get the complete opposite effect. You lose fertility. You have reproductive damage, could cause reproductive deformities in the future if you can actually manage to have a child. Isn't it interesting that this stuff coming from the people who want to control the population, is it too matrixy for this to be all lining up? The people who are in control of the majority of the world because of their financial banking spell, the people who are going on a kill crazy rampage all throughout everywhere right now, including here, every place that they control. And you know that they want to reduce the population. Isn't it interesting that they happen to be in possession in territory that they control? The Golan Heights are now called the Trump Heights, by the way. And that's where this Ferula Hermonis, Mount Hermon Hermonis, is where the Watchers allegedly came down from. Mount Hermon on what summit? Artis, like Dr. Artis Summit, Mount Hermon. Hermonis, Ferula Hermonis, named after where it's found. I find it extremely interesting that they just should they just so happen to have something that will literally chemically castrate people. It's testicular hemlock. And now all of a sudden, hey, eureka! Good old HTLT supplements with Greg Doucette, who calls himself an Acadian. It's a kind of something that the historians made up so that they could wedge in Semitic people in places that they never were and never did anything, because it was all our Gothic Aryan ancestors. So he's a shiny pink unicorn that just like the viruses are, and he's presenting. And I'm not saying anything bad about him. And maybe he is, maybe he's not. Maybe it's just he's being pitched and sold an idea that they're not telling him the full dangers of it, because it's actually the people who are pushing this agenda forward that want to horrifically poison everybody, and they're using Greg and his platform and his his trust that he's established with the Turk builder and his long reputation as being the guy of alleged voice of reason in the fitness community, which he's still wrong about a lot of things, including the polypharmacy that he basically promotes and GLPs and all that. How many people are going to be, and it's going to be the people who are the most fit, the ones that are most capable of producing strong offspring. Say nothing about their vital nutrients, of course, because nobody pays attention to that. But as far as physical appearance, it's going to be the best of the best, the cream of the crop, the toughest, the alphas. And they're going to end up castrating them chemically when this thing gets released. I just find it very interesting that they should have something like that and their ultimate and total control, that this product is coming out at the time of our, era here, this Kali Yuga that we're stuck in, where they're, they want a reset. And something that would be beneficial to mankind, provided it was used wisely is something that is found only in a territory that our ancestors first encountered these cult pieces of shit, defeated them, and established a true peaceful law and order civilization, established agriculture, taught people agriculture, taught people animal husbandry for the first time, taught they were beekeepers. The land of milk and honey was those assholes are lactose intolerant most of the time. What do you think the land of milk and honey was? The people who introduced others to animal husbandry. The people who were making mead out of honey. They weren't just going around and looking for bees in that. They were doing it the same way you would cultivate anything else. Deliberately setting it up. So I just find that interesting. And that's why you shouldn't see this other channel as being something too far off the topic of what we talk about here, if this is what you like, because you're going to find a lot of that stuff is embedded in every fucking topic. And you can't get away from it. Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in. How's my Al Pacino? Not that good, right? Godfather 3 wasn't that good anyway. Plainly, his sins found him out. Plainly, his sins found him out here, at least with those who were in closest touch with the silkworm cultivators. Oh, I missed this whole thing here. So I'll just read this again. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't remember. That is the way in which Pasteur saved sericulture, the reputation which he still preserves in this respect among ignoramuses and short-sighted savants has been brought into being by himself by means of his inaccurate assertions by the sellers of microscopic seeds based on the Pasteur system who have realized big benefits at the expense of the cultivators by the complicity of the academies. Daniel, really? You gotta start with the right accents on the words. Okay, buddy? By the complicity of the academies and public bodies, which, without any investigation, reply to the complaints of the cultivators. But sericulture is saved. Make use of Pasteur's system. However, not everybody is inclined to employ a system that consists in enriching oneself by the ruination of others. Does that not sound exactly like the medical system as reminded to you by, is that the way to say that? Dr. Glidden? Every time he shows you an example of how that very method is at play. I should add, instead of say in play, it's at play. A system that consists of enriching oneself by the ruination of others. So instead of doing these stupid, all they had to do is use creosote. But hey, it's their fault for being that stubborn. You think was Béchamp supposed to go to each and every individual, cultivator of these silkworms and tell them, hey, I told the Academy of Agricultural Science this, and they told me to hush up, but this will work. It is astonishing in the view of such a failure, and after Béchamp had shown how to prevent these diseases, that Pasteur's reputation did not go down in a public scandal. Apparently, royal favor and the academies and public bodies protect him from this. Of course, because all of these royal people and these people in these academies, by this time in history, were infiltrated by, you could say they're Masons, but they're the Frankists and the Jesuits coming together to make the perfectibilistin. But really, what is that? It's an extension of the Oy Vey Saturn cult of banking, manipulating by proxy these people who are working for the agenda of the banking cult, the cult of people who think that they're special boys and the rest of the world is goy pieces of shit. So they extort, exploit, and abuse, and poison and starve. Rinse, repeat. and this is another example of how so many traitors to our people work or are members of and have been longstanding members of this cult, and that's why it's not an ethnically it's not a single ethnicity type of thing. It's a cult thing with cult members, as was 5,000 years ago when they said that there was Goths who had already lived in that territory who were part of the serpent cult. There were Germanic people in it. There were the Armenians. There were, of course, the like the Ashkenazi Turks. There was all different types of people then and now. So it's not just them, but yes, they do represent the core. You don't see a whole lot of what do you say? Irish and Norse people at heads of massive central banking establishments. While many of Pasteur's contemporaries, and if they were, they'd be proxy or they'd be like the goy out front type of puppet. And if they're not a puppet, a deeply entangled, high-ranking, high-degree cult member as well. While many of Pasteur's contemporaries must have known of his plagiarisms of Béchamp's work, they were cowed into silence or kept out of the press by Pasteur's bullying tactics, as well as by his prestige. Now think about this. What does this say about the reputation and the integrity of the Emperor, Napoleon, scientific academies, that they care very little or nothing about what's right and who gets their due recognition? It's all political. And no, it has nothing to do with Democrat and Republican. It has to do with the control arm of the demonic government or which has corrupted and co-opted it. And that is where you have to ask yourself, like, what is real? Because they don't seem to care about what the actual science is. They care about what is the power structure and how you have to preserve that and present it as infallible. Well, while they constantly make mistakes on the biggest bumbling retards out there. And brilliant people come thinking that this is a real world where truth matters, evidence makes all the difference. And it's not. It's not. You keep feeding them the answers, they'll keep you impoverished and take all the credit. As well as by his prestige, not only in the public eye and with royalty, but also with the academies and public bodies Dr. Latude refers to. Ethel Hume goes on to show that his treatment of rabies and his anthrax serum were the same colossal failure and fraud, as will be shown in Chapter 8. And she discusses other plagiarisms on Pasteur's part, but it hardly seems necessary to go into all of these matters here. We have seen enough evidence of the incompetence and fraud to forever doubt any further statements that bear his signature. But there is one more piece of work that is worth looking into. Some years after the events we had described, Dr. M.L. Leverson, an American physician, discovered some of Professor Béchamp's writings in New York and immediately realized that they anticipated Pasteur in certain important points. He went to France, met Professor Béchamp, and heard the story of the plagiarism from him, after which he did a great deal to bring Béchamp's work to public attention. Dr. M.L. Leverson or Leverson. We should thank him for us even having any idea who Béchamp was, because they wrote him out of history. There wouldn't have been a Pasteur without Béchamp, because he co-opted everything, as that cult does. He was one of the first in the United States to recognize Béchamp's priority in regard to most of the discoveries generally credited to Pasteur, and in a lecture entitled Pasteur the Plagiarist, delivered at Claridge's Hotel, London, on May 25th, 1911, outlined briefly Béchamp's claim to priority and added the charge that Pasteur had deliberately faked an important paper. He said in part, Pasteur's plagiarisms of the discoveries of Béchamp and of Béchamp's collaborators run through the whole of Pasteur's life and work, except as to crystallography, which may or may not have been his own. And he probably stole from somebody back then, and they told him to drop it because it was bad. I have not investigated that part of his career, nor do I feel any interest in it. The tracings of some of these plagiarisms, though they can be clearly demonstrated, are yet somewhat intricate, too much so for this paper, but there is one involving the claim by Pasteur to have discovered the cause of one of the diseased conditions which assail the silkworm, which can be verified by anyone able to read the French language. It is the following. After then describing some of the material we have covered in Chapter 5, he continues, but I have a still graver and more startling charge to bring against Pasteur as a supposed man of science. A scientific bluff. Finding how readily the men of science of his day accepted his fairy tales. Yeah, and why did they do that? Because of the cult. In a voluminous memoir of no value. When I say cult, I mean the fraternal orders, the society, the networking, the elbow rubbing, the fact that they are influenced from the inside of all these academies and royal societies by the infiltrators, by these perfectibilist / Illuminati type, the Masonic. But again, that just means the influence of the cult of banking, manipulating different industries and institutions to reshape the way the Goy world thinks. In a voluminous memoir of no value published in the Annals de Chimie et de Physique, 3rd series, it is to be found on page 381, a section entitled Production of Yeast in a Medium Formed of Sugar, of a Salt, of Ammonia, and of Phosphates. The real, though not confessed, object of the paper was to cause it to be believed that he, and not Béchamp, was the first to produce a ferment in a fermentative medium without albuminoid matter. This is after all that shit talk, all these condemnations that Béchamp was on the wrong track. He wanted to go to the core of that and then make his own. Remember how he was doing the experiments and doing his very public, very dramatic, oh, I'm going to go to the top of the mountain and take an air sample here. Yeah. However, the alleged experiment described in the memoir was a fake. Can be verified by anyone able to... wait, hold on. By a fake. Come on, go. Purely and simply a fake. Yeast cannot be produced under the conditions of that section. If those of my hearers or any other physician having some knowledge of physiological chemistry will take the pains to read this section of Pasteur's memoir with attention, he will see for himself that yeast cannot be so produced, and he can prove it by reproducing the experiment as Pasteur described it, because he still couldn't get that right. Even when he's plagiarizing, he can't get it right. Now mark that. Supposing I am right in this, his memoir does prove. Sorry. Now mark Now, mark what, supposing I'm right in this memoir does prove. It proves that Pasteur was so ignorant of physiological chemistry that he believed yeast could be so produced, or else he was so confident of the ignorant confidence of the medical profession in himself. He was confident that they were too overly confident in him that they wouldn't even look at it or try to understand it. They're just accepted as whole cloth, that he believed he could bluff it through. But why do that? Why leave it wrong? If you knew what you're like, doesn't that kind of hit your own credibility? It's like something that you wouldn't do if you're an egomaniac, and he is one. So he obviously was just that stupid, because otherwise he would have made it make sense. That would lend to his credibility if he actually knew what he was doing. And this last belief, he was correct for a time. I can only hope that they were just gonna accept everything he did at whole cloth. I can only hope that the exposure I am making of Pasteur's ignorance and dishonesty will lead to a serious overhauling of all his work. It was Béchamp who discovered and expounded the theory of antisepsis, which Pasteur permitted to be ascribed to himself. In his studies on fermentation, Pasteur published a letter from Lord Lister, then Mr. Surgeon Lister, in which he claims that he learned the principles of antisepsis from Pasteur. I do not doubt this statement of the noble lord. Listen to this. For besides accepting Mr. Lister as a gentleman of veracity, I will give you an additional reason for accepting that statement. Lister's blunder. Because he listened to Pasteur, right? When Mr. Listerine, get it, began his antiseptic operations, they were generally successful. But a few days later, his patients succumbed to carbolic acid or mercuric poisoning, mercury, so that it became a gruesome medical joke to say that the operation was successful, but the patient died. And this is the same method of thought, the same mode of thinking that they use today when they say, yeah, we have a blah, blah, blah success rate with cancer. What does that mean? It means from the time that we told you had cancer to the time that you die is 5 years in 1 day. That's a success. So you die, nothing was cured, but they're marking it as a success. It's degrading and downgrading your standards to a point where, oh, well, it looks good on paper again. We're saved. Forget trying to improve upon our results. No, that's silly. That's hard. Let's just lower our standards. Lower our standards to, if we can keep you dying slower and more agonizing because of all of our treatments, oh boy, that's fun. That's fun for the negative energy that this cult entity likes to suck up. Man, oh man, misery and suffering, families being torn apart, never being the same, children losing their fathers and mothers, their brothers and sisters. Oh, this is fuck. Oh, love this cancer, right? That's how they roll. At least the dark entity spider hanging from the ceiling at the top of all this. Now, Mr. Lister, though a very skilled surgeon and I believe having great powers of observation, had established the technique of his operations upon the teachings of a man who had plagiarized the discovery without understanding the principle on which it was based. So, Pasteur's at fault for killing patients of Lister's. Not unnaturally, Lister used doses of carbolic acid, which, when placed upon an open wound or respired by a patient, were lethal. But thanks to his careful observations, he gradually reduced the quantity of carbolic acid or sublimate, of mercury employed. Yeah, don't use mercury until at last. But why would they use mercury? Because they're fucking alchemists. Until at last his operations were successful and the patients lived. Oh, yeah. It's better for your public appearance, I guess, your public perception. As they would have done from the beginning had he obtained his knowledge of the principles of antisepsis from their discoverer, Béchamp, and not their plagiarist, Pasteur, who had warned against the use of any but a very minute dose of carbolic acid, instead of from plagiarist Pasteur, who did not know why the dose should be so limited. Well, now you know your answer, asshole, because it kills people. This is the guy who decided to mix a bunch of bullshit together and inject it into people. Yeah. Yeah, isn't that great? Thanks, Pasteur, for your single-fanged death knell. From the outline I have now given you, you may form some idea of the ignorance of the man who, for more than 30 years, official medicine has been worshipping as a god. But this is only a small part of the mischief perpetuated. Instead of making progress in therapeutics during the past 30 or 40 years, medicine outside of surgery has fearfully retrograded, and the medical profession today is, in my judgment, in a more degraded condition than ever before in its history. Was this 1911 he said this? Where the fuck are we now? Oh, this is the beginning of the Rockefeller shit. The Rockefeller wasn't even part of this, and this is how bad shit was going. You needed the naturopaths. You needed the homeopaths. You needed the Ayurvedics and everything else that was happening here. Holistic medicine in the free, semi-free world. Now that's definitely not a free world. Now we're prisoners in an open-air prison. This is before... yeah. I know that at first your minds will rebel against this statement, but some facts will prove to every mind possessed of common sense that it is true. The danger of inoculating. After discussing the practice of medicine in the past and saying that since Jenner's and Pasteur's days, the modern effort is to make the sick well, he says of inoculations. When a drug is administered by the mouth, as was beautifully pointed out by Dr. Garth Wilkinson, in proceeding along the alimentary canal, it encounters along its whole line a series of chemical laboratories wherein it is analyzed, synthesized, and deleterious matter prepared for excretion and finally excreted. Or it may be ejected from the stomach or overcome by an antidote. This is your checks and balances system. Okay? It's technically outside of the body, as Dr. Glidden has pointed out, because this is it's like your hollow earth from here to your batus. And only when it's decided that it should be what do they call that? Seeped into your bloodstream through absorption, that it's allowed to leave that territory. But in the meantime, it's in the process of being analyzed through your stomach acids and so on, your liver, your kidneys, and all this stuff. You put in something directly into your arm, into your muscle tissue, into your vein, you're bypassing your natural defense mechanisms of filtration of whatever the fuck they just put in you. And it's already in your bloodstream. It's a shock to your system no matter what it is. I don't care if it's saline. It's a shock to your system for it to just be there all of a sudden. It can knock you off balance. It can screw up a lot of things. They can flush out your nutrients by using those freaking... I would not saline up. I hate when they try to do that to me in the hospital. I hate to be in a hospital, but every once in a while you find yourself there. But when nature's coat of mail, the skin, is violated and the drug inserted beneath the skin, nature's line of defense is outflanked, and rarely can anything be done to hinder or prevent the action of the drug. I've been saying this forever. You should not be injecting yourself with fucking anything, ever, for any reason. I don't care what it is. Pinning yourself and making that trendy, pop culture, commonplace, widely accepted, normalized of, I'm going to pin myself with GLP. I'm going to pin myself with steroids. You're going to pin myself with it. These are all fine in the court of public opinion for the masses to do, but heroin's bad. But these are drugs from a doctor, so it's just like getting a shot. Yeah, you're right, kind of. Bunch of impurities, bunch of shit you don't know what's in it, and absolutely harmful to your overall health, and your vital force is hating you for it, and your microzymas are not happy about it at all. There's nothing there, then all of a sudden something's there. And how did it get there? There was no signaling. There was no sensing of it entering the body. It just all of a sudden is there. Children cry when they see the needle because their freaking vital force, their inherent wisdom, their godly connection knows that it's evil. And any parent who brings their children to get injected, I hope you stop and think about this. You're there to protect them from these demonic cultists in white coats, and I don't care if they don't know what they're doing. That's all the more reason to keep your children away from them. So, as I was saying, but when nature's code of male, the skin, is violated and the drug inserted beneath the skin, nature's line of defense is outflanked and rarely can anything be done to hinder or prevent the action of the drug, no matter how injurious or even fatal it may be. All the physicians of the world are incompetent either to foresee its action or to hinder it. Yet they don't know anything about the physiology of the body. They don't know shit. You're always a lab rat. They don't know what is going to happen to you versus somebody else. They have no clue. They don't know the actual mechanism. They can describe things, but they can't explain them. You can describe water. You might not be able to explain the attributes and the phases of it. You might not be as a doctor. You wouldn't be able to if in the analogy of the water, it was the human body or the vital force, the thing that gives life to the body. Because everything chemically is the same even after you're dead. But what's different? As Dr. Glidden says, Elvis has left the building. Your vital force, your spirit, your soul, whatever powered your body and put light in your eyes is gone. And they want to treat your body as being a byproduct or a product of all the chemicals. Like, how did it grow itself from one cell? How did it do all these things? Just because? Because there was no vital force. There was no brain at that time. There was no vital force guiding that process. There was no divine thing. There was no higher source, so higher entity, higher energy that was imparting this life into the creation of who you are, right? Okay. Maybe that's true for the Hylics. I don't think it's true for us. Even pure water. Listen, I just got done saying this about the saline water. Even pure water has been known to act as a violent and frugiant poison when injected into the bloodstream. How much more dangerous is it then to inject poisons known to be such? Whether modified. Oh yeah, modified. Okay, that's always good. So it's not even found in nature. Adding hydrogen molecules to something so that you can patent it because you can't patent a natural substance. So you change it into a synthetic version, which you have no idea what's going to do in the human body because it's not a natural substance anymore. Now you're injecting that in there. The fanciful matter at present fashionable among vivisectionists, which is another disgusting thing, or in any other manner. These simple considerations show that the inoculation should be regarded as malpractice to be tolerated only in a case of extreme danger where the educated physician sees no other chance of saving life. So basically never. The germ theory fetish. Now, the forcing of these inoculations upon individuals by law is one of the worst tyrannies imaginable and should be resisted even to the death of the official who is enforcing it. You notice they didn't say to your death. Notice how they've trained our brains to think, we're going to martyr ourselves? Like, How about we don't? How about we win? How about we aren't the ones that dies in that scenario? Like, I'm willing to sacrifice my life. Oh, that's great, but how about you don't? How about you take them out instead? But it's the way they train our brain to be defeated all the time, right? First, we're given this presupposition that there's no way to beat anything, and they're too powerful, and yada yada yada. And then we say stupid things to curse ourselves constantly. The fuck happened? Why did OBS crash? Hold on. Why did they crash me? Are you guys there? Let's see. Fuckers. Hold on. Can you hear me? Hold on. Can you hear me? It looks like I'm on. It just said that OBS crashed. I don't know why. He swallowed a fly. Sadistic supply. Yeah, just like the Y chromosome is inherited only from the father, mitochondrial DNA is inherited only from the mother. Yeah, and apparently mitochondria have their own DNA, which is interesting. So I'm not sure who it comes from. Oh, psychological fuel, where one with dark triad malignant narcissistic traits derives pleasure, validation, and a sense of grandiosity from inflicting emotional or physical pain on others and watching them react. There you go. Does that not describe the very people that are killing the planet at the moment? As we have to, we're being told that we have to just sit here and watch and wait for our turn to be led down the slaughterhouse ramp. I don't like that scenario. I don't like that outcome. Oh yeah, you're already defeated. So it's already been settled. You're gonna die when it's time. We're gonna starve you to death. We're gonna poison you. We're gonna take away. Oh, the new one is diesel fuel is going to disappear, and everybody's gonna starve to death because of the dependency on being a truckitarian. So everybody out here in the desert is gonna die. Okay, stream's up for Saxon Ranger. Cool. I'm glad it stayed up for you guys. I don't know what happened. It just said that we dropped, and then a couple said maybe like a half a minute later, it said we're back. Oh, so let me just get to some of these since we're here. Saxon Ranger said, "That's wild about the Frula nature." I'm sorry, the Frula species. That's wild about the Frula species. Nature has intelligent design. Yes, sir. Saxon Ranger says, exactly. Mercury as more alchemical tendencies. I was just thinking that. Yeah, nice, man. Edward said earlier, just like the Y chromosome is inherited only from the father. Oh, yeah, we did say that one. Let's see. And that was Saxon Ranger says, they would chalk all of divine force down to DNA, just electrochemical reactions programmed like computer code. Funny thing is, they don't understand DNA either, like they think they do. Yeah, or they want us to think that they don't understand it. No audio? What do you mean no audio? Check your thing to see if it's not and that's muted. Can you guys hear me? I can hear me on Rumble. That's what sadistic supply is. Yeah, no, I got you. That's pretty that's like a perfect description of what they are. What's going on with do I have to go back on there now? All right. Your channel. No, switch account. Hold on. Let's see what's up. No, you fucking idiot. Show me mine. Well, here, I'll subscribe to myself since somebody else is, assholes. I didn't say post. Leave me alone. Switch account. I can hear it. What's up? You just had, maybe the mute thing happened when it restarted. Oh, it's all good now? All right, cool. Now you tell me. It's all right. At least Guys, subscribe to the freaking Fitwit. I can hear it. Subscribe to the Fitwit, would you? For Christ's sake. At Wisdom Fitness AZ. I want to see this say 30 at least by the time the end of the show. At Wisdom Fitness AZ on YouTube. See that right there? It should say 50 by the end of the show, but I'll be happy if 4 more people do what I asked. You don't even have to ever look at it again. What's killing you to hit the subscribe button? 71 views now over on this Frula Oblongata. Right. I'm sure people are farming the information so they can put out their own video and completely ignore mine because I'm not part of the special boy club yet. And I don't want to be. I want to have boob followers. 8,008. Man, if we can get the boob, then we know we did something. We did something special. Yeah, I'm really excited about the next. I'm gonna start doing the recording for it tomorrow. Tomorrow is what, Tuesday? Tomorrow Monday. I mean tomorrow Wednesday. No, tomorrow's Tuesday, which is garbage morning. So I better take out the garbage before I go to bed. And I can probably sit here after I make the hot sauce that I have for the last couple orders and go do that. Come back and start recording the next mind breaker from the Frula series. And then I'm going to do some more of the supplements because with this information that I'm learning that was at my disposal forever, and I thought I had watched these videos, and I probably did, but things mean more to me now because I have more pieces of the puzzle. So I can place it, you know what I mean? I can place it where it belongs and making other portions of the overall concept of how we're being screwed, but also how things work. So that when I hear other people making these decisions to hack their body, basically, I can see just how horrible of an idea it is. And just because everybody does it, yeah, they also die early. If your life expectancy, and they say that you have the potential to live to at least 120 years, and you're dying at 80, and your last 15 years of your life are miserable, something's not right. And if you live to 70 in the last 15 years of your life is miserable, something's not right. If you die in your 40s because you accelerated your body into overdrive, never gave it the nutrients that it needed to keep up with the process, and burnt out all your receptors, enlarged your heart, and you drop fucking dead, but you looked good, that wasn't the right thing to do. You get one of these things that you know of. I wouldn't gamble on thinking that you're going to get another shot, especially if that's how you treat it. Something up there is going to be like, you don't know how to keep your toys nice. You should take care of your toys better. See this kid over here? He puts them away when he's done. He doesn't yank out the legs. He doesn't pull on the arms. He doesn't pop off the heads. He doesn't spin the heads around. He doesn't smack them on the ground. He's a good boy. He's going to be able to play with toys again. You're a demented little fuck and you hate yourself, apparently. What the hell did you do that for? Why are you here so soon? Now, the forcing of these inoculations upon individuals by law is one of the worst tyrannies and trannies, worst tyrannies imaginable, and should be resisted, even to the death of the official who is enforcing it. Yes, English-speaking people need to have ideals of liberty refreshed by a study of the history of Wat Tyler, who headed one of the most justifiable rebellions in history, and although treacherously murdered by the then Lord Mayor of London, his example should be held up to all our children for imitation. Well, obviously, look what I'm going to do. I bet you he's shit on by the fucking historians. Wat Tyler, rebel. Yeah, okay. Without a cause, right? January 4th, 1341, Kent, United Kingdom, Smithfield, London. He died at age 40 due to murder, though. Not because he didn't get his 90 essentials. The Peasants' Revolt and Walt Tyler's 9 Days of History. Oh, I gotta know. He led a group of rebels from Canterbury to London to oppose the collection of a poll tax and to demand economic and social reforms. Fuck yeah! It's in our blood, guys. I call it the spirit of defiance. The spirit of defiance. Don't mess with me. Don't abuse me. Don't exploit and extort. Get the fuck out of my face. And if you don't want to do that, and you want to try to be a little sneaky shit and try to poison us or start whispering in the ear of people and get them turn their perception of us against us so that they do your dirty work for you, they cause problems in our lives, or they try to harm us or put us in shackles. It's war, bro. It's war. You don't get to be a little instigator. You don't get to be a subversive or an insurgent. No more. No more. I'm going to learn some more about this guy. I'm sure they're going to diminish his value, or they're going to politicize it in a negative, opposite way than which it should be perceived, because it's the system of the cult. What socialists can learn from Wat Tyler? See, it didn't take long before some fucking cocksucker said that, right? The entire fabric of the germ theory of disease rests upon assumptions which not only have not been proved, but which are incapable of proof. Right. Because they have to exist first, and they can't show us one. But yet they can give us a CGI computer model of one. They can tell us of this thing that they can't identify, can't isolate, that it's got a broken strand of sequence that is this, but not a full one. So how do you make a shot or even a test? How do you make a test to identify it? And that's not even the way disease works. So what are we fucking doing this for? Because of ignorance. Because of ignorance in how the body works and how disease comes from within, regardless of what everybody else says. If you're not poison injecting it in. So this is the funny part, right? So you're injecting poison into you past your body's natural system of defense. And then you're looking around for invisible unicorns when you get sick. Are we serious here? The entire fabric of the germ theory of disease rests upon assumptions which have not been proved, but which are incapable of proof. And many of them can be proved to be the reverse of truth, which would be, if I get this right, I haven't been to college in a while, but false. The basic one of these unproven assumptions, the credit for which the credit for which in its present form is wholly due to Pasteur, is a hypothesis that all the so-called infectious and contagious disorders are caused by germs. Do you trust this Pasteur asshole? Yeah, like seriously? Each disease having its own specific germ, these germs having existed in the air from the beginning of things, and he wouldn't have believed that in the first place. He would have called it spontaneous generation. These germs having existed in the air from the beginning of things, and that though the body is closed to these pathogens, no, they're not. Closed to these pathogens, germs, when in good health, when the vitality is lowered, the body becomes susceptible to their inroads. Yeah, but that's actually internal, and it's all about signaling. And there is some proof. There is some thing to be said by that. But even if a bacteria came into this way, that way, and entered into the stomach, that defense mechanism would have made it bad. And then if the bacteria coming in through this way somehow was able to flourish, that would mean that you were already a rich, fertile environment for that bad bacteria to propagate, which means it would already be in you. Because that's what happens when you have a condition with a toxin buildup of a certain kind. then that bacteria that eats it will be present. So bacteria is eating something, a diseased tissue or whatnot, and that's why it's there. Is it the bacteria's fault that you presented a rich environment of a food source? Or is it something that you're doing wrong in your body that's allowing for this or, demanding of this bacteria to be there to help break it down? And if it's diseased tissue, you're breaking down tissue. If it's healthy tissue, it's a little bit more rare, but when it happens, it's because of a bad signal in your body. Microzymas are misunderstanding something, and that's why you take the homeopathic, and it's the key that unlocks it. And I've been thinking about this. Why does the law of potentization work? Which means it's like such a small trace ionic amount of whatever that substance is that it's really just the chemicals. Sorry, not the chemical. The frequency signature that's left over with no material substance really left of that particular matter material that they use to make this homeopathic remedy. But this remedy in a healthy person in a higher dose would cause certain things to happen to that person, right? Well, when you give it such a tiny amount, that signal is very easy for your microzyma to react to and overcome. And I think what it does is it strengthens and trains the microzyma because of the tiny, like the weakness of the thing that you're showing it, that it then systemically signals out and creates the thing in which is necessary for all of the response of the microzyma to kick into action and take care of the problem systemically. So it's like a little flip, and then if you have to take it a couple of times or whatever, it's training the microzyma to respond to the thing, and it's all signals. It's like the whole thing with chemistry and the chemicals in the body. They just want to apply the chemicals, but when you do that, you're hijacking the system because the chemicals are just the material representation of the signal. It's all an electric body. It's energetic body. The chemicals and the hormones and all this stuff, that's just the material representation of the signal, of the transmission of information. So when you just dump a bunch of signal in there, but it's a synthetic substance, it's also a synthetic signal. It's not the right thing. And yes, it's going to produce something because your body is in your system is acknowledging it as being something very close to what it normally receives, but it's also cognizant of the fact that it didn't send it. So if you constantly throw something in there that your body normally has to, or your vital force has to deliberately send out a signal, but now that signal is prevalent, abundant, and very strong because you just dabbed yourself with a testosterone shot, a TRT shot. Well, obviously, it's gonna not send its own signal anymore because it's already seeing that as a problem. Because where the hell did that all of a sudden come from? It's already thinking that it's doing something wrong because where the fuck did all this shit come from? So it's gonna be like, all right, pull back on that signal, the LH and the FSH, stop it. Do you understand how and why people who take steroids end up having to take TRT for the rest of their lives? Because the body shut down because it keeps on seeing that it's being overproductive of something, and it's not trying to do that. It's not trying to knock things out of balance. So the more you take it, the more it pulls back because it's saying, what are we doing? We got to stop sending the signal. And then the things atrophy and die because they're not used anymore. And then you go ahead and stop taking your steroid cycle, and oops, it doesn't bounce back. And then you have to take this, you keep on putting your own signal in. That is not something that's considered healthy by anybody's definition. You don't know what and how and at what rate that signal should have been sent, that chemical signal in a natural manner. You have what they tell you on paper, which is different for every individual. There is no baseline. It's your baseline. And you didn't ever establish that before you started playing chemist with yourself. And to be dependent on TRT or HRT, testosterone replacement therapy, hormone replacement therapy, hormone indicating that it could be more than just testosterone, right? Then you have no idea when you should be putting this stuff in, how much, or how long does it take for a synthetic hormone to finally do something horrific in your body because of contaminants, because of everybody thinks that everybody has integrity and their labs are clean and it's all come from a good source and all that bullshit. These are the same people that zap you with mRNA. Do you not think that they'd put something in your TRT? This is the pharmaceutical industry. Anything that you're willing to stab yourself with, they're going to put something in there that's just like poisoning the well. Just like the oy veys when they killed millions of fucking Europeans and they dance for joy over it. And blame it on rats because they're the ones who write the textbooks. I would hate to be dependent on pharmakia to do something that I know is not natural or right or responsible for the rest of my life, simply because I had already made a mistake where I was doing something that was unnatural and irresponsible for short-term gain, literally. You know, they said that they kept on saying short-term pain for long-term gain. No, this is a short-term gain for a long-term pain. And yeah, why does it aid you? Because it's accelerating everything in your system. You're not getting that back. If you want to talk about telomeres and all this other bullshit, there's permanent damage that's done by doing these things. It's maturing you, aging you, making your hair fall. All these things are a sign that your minerals are being aggressively depleted, and you're not putting them back. You're not replenishing your body with them. Get to 90 essential nutrients. Code BB5. Look in the description for the one that says Azure Standard. And contagious disorders are caused by germs, and each disease having its own specific germ. These germs having existed in the air from the beginning of things. I already said that. Blah blah blah. Inroads. So, I agree most heartily with Dr. Levinson's statement that the forcing of these inoculations upon individuals by law is one of the worst tyrannies imaginable and should be resisted, even to the death of the official who is enforcing it. Strong words, but absolutely right. Professor F.W. Newman of Oxford University has said, against the body of a healthy man, Parliament has no right of assault whatever under pretense of the public health, nor any the more against the body of a healthy infant. To forbid perfect health is a tyrannical wickedness, just as much as to forbid chastity or sobriety. No lawgiver can have the right. The law is an unendurable usurpation and creates the right of resistance. As Blackstone says, that's an interesting name, no laws are binding upon the human subject which assault the body or violate the conscience. In the case of the Union Pacific Railway versus Botsford, that's it. That's funny. I watched a couple of the Union Pacific Railroad, like public service reels, like they used to play before movies or whatever at the theaters. They were being narrated by Mystery Science Theater 3000. There was some funny stuff. In the case of Union Pacific Railroad versus Botsford, the United States Supreme Court said, survey says, no right is held more sacred or is more carefully guarded by the common law than... But there's no common law. They changed it to commerce law under our noses We're in corporate. This is a corporatocracy. Everything's run as a corporation. That's why you have admiralty court. That's why you have admiralty law. That's why you have color of law. That's why you have municipal corporations enforcing policy, because they're treating you like you are an employee or a property rather than a human, natural living being. You have to declare this and state this in court. You're not even allowed, you shouldn't even be anywhere near their court. And the moment they call your name and you say, and you acknowledge, you just fell for a stupid gay fucking Jew trick, capitis diminutio maximo. Your name in all caps, making you a corporate fiction. People think that this is stupid. It's because they don't understand that this is actually how it goes. No right is held more sacred or is more carefully guarded by the common law than the right of every individual to the possession and control of his own person, free from all restraint or interference of others, unless by clear and unquestioned authority of law. As well said by as well said by Judge Cooley, the right of one's person may be said to be a right of complete immunity, to be let alone. Where are these people now? The inviolability of the person, and you know what this actually sounds like? It sounds like the politician saying everything that is truthful, and you would want to believe that they mean their rhetoric, and therefore you go through the stupid public ritual of voting for them, and then they had absolutely no weight behind their words. They said what you wanted to hear. They had no intention of ever giving you these rights or protecting them, I should say. And you're all the worse off for having put them in there, because even though these make sense, and if they're uttering them, it means that they know that they make sense. But of course, we're the prisoners. That's like saying, we're going to let you free. We're going to set you free. You're not going to have to finish your sentence. Vote for me as warden. The warden gets in there and go like, get back in your fucking cell. They beat him. Fucking knock him over the head of Billy Club and rape him in his butt. Thanks for making me your warden. Zip. That's what Trump did. The inviolability of the person is as much invaded by a compulsory stripping as by a blow. To compel anyone, and especially a woman, to lay bare the body or to submit it to the touch of a stranger without lawful authority is an indignity, an assault, and trespass. Yes! Tort and trespass, as a matter of fact, on the body. Guess what? The swab was. All those things. And what are they doing? They're taking your genetic material, or their DNA swab, without any compensation. They're taking a part of you without compensation. To do what with? Make another one of you? To make something that they can put in your health records, so that next time they send out a shot, they can tailor one specifically to ticking time bomb kill you? That's what the OEVs would do, wouldn't they? Oh, gee, I mean, like 23andMe and Ancestry.com just making that big data bank of DNA and pretending like they were actually researching something, because I don't think they even have the science to know what the fuck they're talking about. And they just fake it till they make it. And they put on cop shows and what do you call it? Like forensic science, heavy, like a heavy portion of the show is all the fancy forensic science, like CSI Miami and all that other stupid shit. So on TV, you're seeing it and you're like, oh man, how does anybody get away with anything here? It's like, do you know that your analysis is like 50% or 60% inaccurate? Do you know that a fingerprint with only a 16-point node, like a 16 node match, is not really easy to identify from one to the other? Like you would need like double that, like 32 points, but they go off of 16, because it's a lot easier to say that that's a person when they want that person to be the person. It's all smoke and mirrors. There's credibility to it, but not the way that they use it. In 1903, Judge Woodward of the New York Appellate Court said in the Weimeister case, it may be conceded that the legislature has no constitutional right to compel any person to vaccination. Well, I don't know why I didn't do this. We should throw that in the fucking face of Dershowitz. Just hold you down and plunge a needle in your arm. Fuck that piece of shit. Oh, he's not Irish, by the way. Did you not know that? Not Berkowitz, Dershowitz. Berkowitz, Dershowitz, almost the same thing. You know, the guy who is so clean and certainly not scummy and disgusting as to be the lawyer of Jeffrey Epstein. In the Supreme Court, Columbia County, New York, in 1910, my home state seems to have had their shit together, at least at one point in history. In 1910, Judge LeBoeuf, is that like was that Shia LaBeouf? In the second trial of the Bollinger case, instructed the jury as follows. Now I have charged you that the assault which is claimed to have existed here due to the forcible vaccination, that is, if it was against this man's will, is one which you must consider. If it was against his will, you have to consider it. And the reason of that is this man, in the eyes of the law, just as you and I and all of us in this courtroom, has the right to be left alone. We all have the right to the freedom of our persons, and that freedom of our persons may not be unlawfully invaded. That is a great right. It is one of the most important rights we have. Notice the date, 2 years before the Flexner Report, 2 years before the Black Curtain came down, 3 years before the Federal Reserve made it very clear that our government had just let a foreign embassy plant itself in our soil. A foreign embassy for a banking cult without a land. Oh, but they got one. They got one because now that they were in control, they made sure of it. I believe these quotations from court documents indicate clearly that anyone has a right to protect himself or his family from the pus squirters of the AMA. Over 60 years ago, the famous English physician Dr. Charles Crichton said in Gender and Vaccination, the anti-vaccinationists have knocked the bottom out of a grotesque superstition. He said that in 1879. However, it has been revived and needs some more knocks. The doctors will not willingly give up such a lucrative practice as the use of biologicals. Right. Because why? Because it kills people and impairs them and makes all the more fun of the ritual of human suffering. And so parents and the public must do something to stop this blood poisoning. What then can be done? Kill the freaking parasite. They want to give you a shot? Put 4 back in them. I have seen a little girl, upon being vaccinated or inoculated, go to school, promptly develop leaky heart valves, and die of heart trouble about 2 years later, hardly 10 years old. That's evil. Nobody should ever be able to touch your children with these fucking things. Ever. 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 And if they come out with some new bullshit and scare the world into fucking submission again, you better fight to their death to protect your children. You better be just willing to do that and doing it. And that's why community should be built ahead of time. Because more than just you and your neighborhood have children. And even if they're too stupid to understand the dangers, find the ones that aren't stupid and make a pact. Get to know them. I don't believe that either her parents, schoolmates, or teacher, or even the doctor concerned saw any connection between the vaccination or inoculation and the leaky heart valves. But there was a connection. See my pamphlet on the so-called biologicals have created a new form of heart disease. There you go. There's another one. And thousands of such deaths are caused every year. What are we going to do to stop it? I'm going to stop it right now because I've been on for a long time, I think. Let me double check. 2 hours and 50 minutes. I think that's good for tonight. Hopefully, able to do. Well, obviously, be back on tomorrow. After I get huge again, I gotta do some of that again. I got to do my passion project here with this. Trying to help people. Honestly, I have a strong drive to, even if I'm finding a more practical way of trying to get through to people that will help maybe that they'll change their habits or their perception or their outlook on what the medical establishment is telling them, what these people, I'm even pulling from NIH and PubMed research, and it's indicating that these things are fucking bad. And when you pair that with how the body works and how these functions operate from the perspective of somebody who actually knows about the vital force, Dr. Glidden, and you present all this and you say, this is the true damage of doing this type of biohacking. Because you're not hacking anything. You're not getting away with something. A cheat code is a cheat code. You get 30 lives. Like up, down, left, right, BA, select, start. Like that's Contra, right? You get the lives. That's not really a hack. Like you didn't die of testicular cancer because you didn't, because you went like, no. When you do it to your chemistry that you shouldn't be screwing with because you don't understand what's going on in there, you don't understand the things that you don't have a conscious control over, or what you're going to be interfering with when you try to intervene. Just shut up and take your minerals, shut up and take your vitamins, because you know that's what your body needs anyway. All the other shit that your body doesn't need, don't keep throwing it in there. Don't put the tell of bad foods in there because you're trained to eat bullshit. Just don't do it. Eat high protein. Get your salt, get your cholesterol. Cook shit with butter. Don't cook it with oils. Don't overcook your red meat if you're going to eat that. And make sure you have your freaking minerals. Because you know what? If you have your minerals, it can overcome the bad shit that's in your food too. It can be strong enough to resist it, to resist the damage. With, of course, limitations if you're eating horrible stuff. But I mean, I'm just the extra stuff. And here's another thing I just want to address while we're here. If you're healthy, if you're taking nutritional supplements like you're supposed to be, if you're drinking enough water, if you're staying away from the nasty foods for the majority of your day and months and years, this is where I think people are dumb, because they think everything's a purism thing, right? Where thank you, Edward. Thank you very much, sir. If you think that something that you enjoy, let's say, for instance, a condiment, has something in there like, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. Why? Well, I can't have. Are you really that dense? Like, can you not extrapolate this out? Are you eating a big bag of flour? No. So stop crying, right? You're having a little bit of something that makes something taste better, and everything else that you're doing on point. You're locked in. Why can't you have that thing? If your body's that weak that it's going to fall apart if you have like this little thing, and only because you're told that it's doing this other thing that you would even know it in the first place, because for you it's not harming you like it would other people. Other people can't have milk. Some people can't have freaking pineapples. You can only be allergic to a protein, by the way. So let's say, oh my God, baking requires folic acid. Apparently, when you buy something that's already made into a product like a breadcrumb or something, You're not the one who put the folic acid in it. They did, and it's baked. You're not the one that put this smidgen of canola oil in it. They did. Who fucking cares? It's not you pouring that shit in your thing. It's a product that went into a product. And then you put that product into yours to make it taste good. You're talking about trace amounts of this shit, and I can't believe you did that. I used to make fun of people who were concerned about eating McDonald's. I'm like, if you're not tough enough to survive it, you don't deserve to be here. Now, I've changed my thought process on that a lot since then, because you shouldn't intentionally eat fucking poison and do so consistently on a daily basis. But if you every once in a while are having a little tiny bit of something, and maybe not even, but it has the potential of being in there, because when you bake stuff, it's like a whole chemical reaction. Like, where's the eggs? You know what I mean? Like, is it really the same thing after the fact? Or is it something different? And you know what? You actually need folic acid. Not just folate, folic acid. I know people are like, oh, it's evil. No, you actually do need it. I just learned that today, and I was like, these motherfuckers. And then also sodium benzoate. A benzoic acid is not benzene. Benzene is definitely, most certainly, a carcinogen. No, I don't use sodium benzoate. I'm just saying because I thought for the longest time that sodium benzoate, because I was told this because it was wrong. And I learned the evolution and the history as to why people thought this way, and it's completely fucking retarded. So one of the things was, I can't remember which, there was two myths that Dr. Glidden had dispelled. And one of them was for the sodium benzoate. And what they ended up finding out was there was benzene in the water supply that they were making a soda with. It was in the water that they were using in to bottle it. It wasn't from adding sodium benzoic acid, sodium benzoate as a preservative. It was because the water itself was contaminated, which goes to show that they weren't doing a lot of, filtering or finding a good source, which, again, they probably don't care as long as they're making money. But it was found in there, and the ingredient sodium benzoate made people jump to the conclusion that, it does break down with citric acid into benzene. Because that's what I was always told. And it's like your body has citric acid in it. So, and the soda most of the time says it has citric acid in it. So before you even get it, it's benzene, right? I fucking believed that for years. For years. Now every other ingredient in soda is horrible, right? There's colors, there's sugars, if you're getting sugar, if it's artificially flavored. I have yet to find a monk fruit fucking soda, so all of them are shit. I have yet to find a stevia soda. There might be some teas that are, but I have yet to see a stevia soda. Maybe they make one, I don't know. But mostly it's aspartame, sucralose, all this bullshit that you don't really want either, right? Especially if you're a mouse, because they usually test it on rats. If you're a mouse, don't drink soda. Stop it right now. If you're a mouse watching this right now, you should at least be subscribing to the Fitwit channel. Otherwise, you're going to be put in the maze again, and then you're going to get the hose. I just mixed references there. It puts lotion on its skin. Okay, so now you know some stupid shit that I was randomly discussing. But yeah, it's quite an interesting thing, and I can't wait to say more. But we will call it a night because it's late. When I start reading for a long period of time, my mouth gets dry, and my words, I jump ahead. I can tell when I'm not. I have a lot of brain damage, guys. I wish I didn't. Obviously, I don't think anybody was like, man, I wish I had more brain damage. No, but I've been almost murdered in a vehicle. And that happened in 2021. 21? Yeah, 21. And these assholes got away with it because corrupt cops. Pieces of shit. A female cop, too. Female Mexican cop named Ziola or some shit. or Zenadrine. I don't know what the fucking name is. I hope nothing but horrible things happen to her. I do. Because of the way she wrote up the bullshit. There's supposed to be, in this state, there's supposed to be a crash investigator that comes to the scene. They didn't bring one to ours. An independent brain outside of the fucking cops who show up after the fact and then bitch up a story. Well, their bitch up of a story made it so they tried to fault me for something when an asshole came flying, looking at his fucking cell phone, smashed into the freaking door of my car because I was driving slowly and responsibly past children in front of my daughter's gymnastics school. And as I'm going, because it's a 25-mile-per-hour zone, this piece of shit Mexican in a freaking Yuma Pest truck blasts me right in my door, exploding the glass all over me and knocking me the fuck out and knocking the fucking wheel off the front of my van. And if I was in a smaller car, I would have been murdered. Because I was been lower to the level of the impact. And at the speed that he hit me without ever braking, there was no screeching noise. There was none of that. He nailed me. Piece of fucking shit. And then they blamed me. Said I pulled out from him. I was all right. I wasn't pulling out of anything. I was driving down the fucking road slowly like you're supposed to. It was a 25-mile-per-hour zone. I was going slower than that because there was kids on both sides getting into their cars, getting into vehicles. Everybody's leaving. And this motherfucker had the audacity, this bitch, to write it up as my fault to protect the business. Well, you know what that fucked me out of? Replacement money for that vehicle. I had to go dip into our safe after having our store shut down already because of the fucking COVID cocksucking shit. Nothing had bounced back yet. Our store was going to experience 50% of its sales from the year before that year because of all the bullshit and all the restrictions and travel still. And I had to pull another $7,500 out of the safe to buy another van. Instead of getting the $25,000 that I should have naturally been paid out. And then I go to Lerner and Rowe and they're like, oh yeah, collect your doctor's appointments. I'm like, I'm not going to that fucking system of demonic pieces of shit just so I can draft up some nonsense for you. You know, fuck this system. I'm not playing the game of the cult. I'm not doing it. I have not been right since then. I have not been right. Like I have issues. Certain days I'm better than others. Some days I'm very articulate and I'm on point. And that's why nutrients are fucking super more important for me because I need something because something's not, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's up. So what do? I dedicate myself to trying to help other people not fucking be poisoned and destroyed and fucked with and extorted, exploited, and abused by the system that's fucking doing it to me. It's doing it to all of us. So we're in good company. And yeah, I'll continue to do what I do, and I love you guys. So let me go ahead and take a look at these talkie talks over here real quick. I thought that, let's see. That would be like an ancient concept of a false prophet, which as I understand, this is Edward Snowden, by the way. That would be like an ancient concept of a false prophet, which, as I understand, is when a jester, I love it, steals someone else's act, essentially violating copyright. Yeah, right. And right. It's honor among thieves, right? Because a jester versus another jester. But in this sense, if we're talking about Véchamp, he would be the legitimate party. Edward Snowden says, other content creators are false prophets when they steal your act. Oh, yeah, thank you. Well, that's what I think is going to happen, man. I think if any of that Frula stuff goes out, these pieces of shit are so protective of their little, I don't want to work for a living position in life that they're not like me. They're not like me. Rebecca said it, but I don't know how much she believes it. I say it. I agree with it. Your success is my success. Lift everybody up. Rising tide lifts all boats. If you're good to others, I don't care what the world is because it's being managed artificially. Just because the assholes win, it's only because their system is not noble. If you are noble, you will show other people how much better that is, and you will change the system. So no matter, you know what Ozzy Osbourne said, and I'm not saying that I like him or anything, but I don't want to change the world. I don't want the world to change me. Well, I do want to change the world. And in the process, we can't let it change us into making us lower our standards, our character, or any of that. We got to stand tough on that. We got to be the better people. We got to lead by example if we ever want things to change. All right. And last note, and pretend it's their own. Last note, after Verpiss Dich, Verpiss Dich, does anybody know what that means yet? Write in the comments if you do. In the comments for people who are going to watch this later. And don't look it up. Just let me know. Auf Wiedersehen, you should know. Velveeta-Zane, or Auf Wiedersehen. And remember, if you look right here, you'll see YouTube at Wisdom Fitness. Click it and then subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. And if you don't do it, then I know you can't even be bothered to do something free. So don't give me any fucking praise because it's all hollow words. Go fuck yourself. All right. And then the Rumble is the same channel for Wisdom Fitness. You can subscribe to that one too. It's a difference between subscribe and follow because it's a different word meaning the same thing no matter where you are. The Buy Me a Coffee link was at the top of the hour, and it's right there if you want to help out. My website, the Paradas thing, I gotta change that. That's not accurate anymore. But maybe I'll restart it. Maybe I'll go until the 15th. Yeah, my birthday's the 28th. If anybody wants to give me anything nice, you know what I like? I like fuzzy slippers. No, wait, that's not me. Thong bikinis. No, that's not me either. What is that? Like ammo. Non-spalling plates for a plate carrier. Level 4. What else? Let's see. I like internet orders. And if anybody wants a Fitwit shirt, I might start. I'm going to make myself another one because I want to get the symbol up a little higher and a little bit smaller. I need to make adjustments. I have to see what it looks like when I get the first, the guy admin. It's a little too big and it's a little too low on the shirt. It's got to be up as high as I can make it on the little, what do you call it? The little drafting template. And then just make it a little bit smaller. I think it'll look great. So I'm going to get a couple more of those. I think the Fitwit shirts are pretty nice, actually. I really like mine. I get to wear it tomorrow when I do more recording. I'm excited. So leave Vic Farm behind. Dr. Peter Glidden, I've been talking about it all night. You can use code FITWIT or BALLBUSTERS to get 15% off. I highly recommend you do this. If you don't, I don't know what you're going to do for deeper understanding of connecting the dots and finding out what's what. Because it's not enough time in an hour talk between he and I. We don't really get into the fundamentals very often. We get into the broad stroke, wider things, and we answer questions, or he answers questions. You need to have a core of the foundation understanding, and it's not going to be what you think it is. And that's the point. If you're willing to accept that you've been lied to about a lot of things, typically everything, and that your perception of health is what's keeping you sick, because you're allowing other people to dictate what that means, you come here and you learn the truth and it sets you free. And he wants people to be made independent of the system of control. And he wants to teach you how to do it yourself and then give you the simple method. And it's a discipline to take the supplements that you need to take. And I do it through the Azure, and also I mix occasionally the longevity stuff with the. I stick to the liquids though. I do the Beyond Osteo Effects and the plant derived minerals, and then I take the whole food multivitamin instead of the tangy tangerine. And I take the IP6 Supreme with inositol, sometimes instead of or alongside of the Beyond Osteo effects. I've been taking a glucosamine a glutathione, because it's a super powerful antioxidant. And I learned even more about that lately. And I take the core copper, and maybe this month I'll be able to afford to get more of those. And so that'll be cool. Anyhow, if you scroll down all the way from here, you will find eventually. So he should have set this up so it was close to the top. This is 25% off with code FITWIT, FITWIT, no spaces, or ball busters. Same on this side. And this one's going to be cheaper because remember, there's not, if you multiply this by 10 to get the here, right? Well, there's 12 months in a year, so you're already starting off $90 cheaper, and then you're going to take 25% off. So it's cheaper by the annual, but here's the thing. I understand people being able to much more easily afford a monthly recurring smaller amount than having to hit a big chunk once and then forget about it because it only happens once a year, then have it surprise them later the following year. No, some people, that's no big deal. They got the cashish. When I had the cashish, when I was working, had the store and everything was good prior to 2020 and everything was freaking rocking and we were just expanding and getting bigger and better as far as our volume of sales each and every year, I didn't care. We went on vacations back then. I took my daughter and that thing that hangs around with us and calls that thing out to desert, what do you call it? Palm Desert a bunch of times. And we went to see some cool petting zoo type thing, like animal places. And we went to Contact in a desert and saw some famous poops from the ancient aliens. Let's see. Giorgio Tsoukalos was one of them. Michael Tellinger, Brian Forster, Robert Schock, all kinds of people. Eric von Daniken, all that crew. The late David Wilcock, who I avoided back then because I thought he was a piece of shit back then too. Trying to think. Just a lot of people. And we had a good time. And we stayed at a nice resort. And it was fun to be on vacation. I like that. I like going on. I don't care. I can make somebody amicable long enough as long as, it's like, I want this to be a pleasant memory. Don't fuck it up, bitch. That type of thing. So there's that. Maybe next time I'll be able to take my daughter somewhere and meet up with a new chick and be like, this is your aunt? Cousin. Don't worry about it. Just say hi. Oh, shit. All right, so there you go. You should totally join. And there's another way of doing it. I'm probably standing over the top of it, but I think behind me you'll see a thing that says members. Usually when you click on a site, it'll say login if you haven't already been a member, so you haven't already been logged in. And if you click that, you should be able to get to this quicker so that you can sign up. Remember, FitWit for 25% off. I got a little lost in tangent there. And what else? Of course, we got to do 90 essential nutrients because that's what we've been talking about. Yes, punch in the nuts. Great babe. Great babe. AzureStandard.com, shop brand Azure Well. You don't have to remember all that. All you have to do is click it. Click it. Click it like a cricket. And then it says Azure Whole Food Essential Nutrients are Whole Food Multivitamin, Alaskan Cod Liver Oil, Fulvic Energy Blend, IP6 Supreme. I also recommend adding the core copper, and I'm going to start taking the pure collagen. Code BB5, Bravo 5. And you can also go to my website and just click Dr. Glidden's picture. It brings you right to the site. You want Dr. Monzo's book? Click that. You want the Rumble channel that's dedicated to just Dr. Glidden and Dr. Monzo? Click that. You want Azure Well? The one I just showed you? Click that. You remember this beautiful bulbous BB5? Beautiful bulbous 5. That's what it stands for. Beautiful bulbous 5. BB5. It does now. Don't argue with me. It stands for Beautiful Bulbous 5 because we said so. And it's funny that BBC stands for Big Black Cock. You wouldn't think that would be something that would be in Britain. They told you without telling you who they were going to invade with. All right, so there you go. I have to do it. I know I'm going to subject it to something real quick. Hold on. Let's do a refresh real quick. Did it make 1,000 yet? Nope. Luteinizing hormone. Shush. I'll give you words when I want to have words. Yeah, so this is me grabbing double D's. See. Hold on. Where is that? All right. I want to show. I'm probably gonna clip this out or make something similar to it. What are you doing, dude? You falling apart here? All right. Let's see. Let's see. Hands in the air. It must be important. Hold on. Let me get my other ass out of the way. This is me watching me on top of me with me in front. I'm in the wrong spot. Let's go over here. Observe. In the beginning, in the description of these videos, you will find a link for AzureStandard.com. This code BB5 right here gives you a discount. The 90 essential nutrients that you need for your body to be optimized at all times so that whatever you're forcing it to do, whatever you're asking it to do, whatever it needs to do on its own, naturally, it can perform and you can stay healthy. Azure Whole Food Essential Nutrients, the Whole Food Multivitamin, the Alaskan Cod Liver Oil, the Fulvic Humic Energy Blend, which gives you all of your minerals, and the IP6 Supreme with the inositol. And I also recommend adding the Core Copper. You'll find those right here where it says AzureStandard.com. Use code BB5. Whole Food Multivitamin, Alaskan Cod Liver Oil, the 3-month and 10-day supply of the Fulvic Humic Blend. Super important. Can't skip that one. And the IP6 Supreme with inositol, which gives you a bioavailable, highly absorbable form of calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus. In addition, it gives you inositol, which helps balance your iron to copper ratio in your body to give you more ATP energy in your cells. The Core Copper, remember it's code BB5, and you can use it on any of the products that are on the Azure Standard site. Click the link in the description. Until next time. Bam! Ah! Got chills. Because it's probably pneumonia. Again, get over to this channel. Yes, sons of bitches. All right. They made me look like Jeff Cavalier. It's so hilarious. I guess that's what they think I look like. Yeah, AI is going to get me confused with Jeff Cavalier. Cool. That means they don't know who I really am. Good night.